Homemaker Catherine Davis is suing her neighbor, airline pilot Philip Choris, for the cost of a chicken and for pain and suffering. Catherine says Philip's dogs got into her yard and attacked her pet hen.
Miss Davis, I assume that you and the defendant are neighbors. Is that right?
Yes.
And you live in a rural community?
Yes.
Where is that?
In Gore, Maine.
How large a property do you have?
About 7 acres.
And you keep chickens?
4 of them.
Any other animals?
A rabbit and a cat.
Mr. Soros, how large a property do you have, sir?
A little over 1 acre, Your Honor.
And you have dogs?
Yes, ma'am.
What kind of dogs do you have?
I have a chocolate lab and a black lab.
Is your property fenced?
No, Your Honor.
According to your complaint, Miss Davis, Mr. Soros's 2 dogs somehow found their way onto your property and attacked one of your hens, leaving it practically dead.
Practically.
Very injured. And as a result of that, your father shot the hen to put it out of its misery, and you want Mr. Soros to compensate you not only for the hen, but also for the trauma, because your daughter witnessed this attack on the hen. And Mr. Soros has 2 defenses. One, that his dogs didn't kill your hen, your father did. And the second is, there was an accident because his dogs just got out when he opened the garage door. You have any other defenses that you want me to hear, Mr. Soros?
Yes, Your Honor. I question the nature of the attack, being that within 45 seconds to a minute following Miss Davis's screams, I was in her yard, and I witnessed the chicken entirely intact, unbloodied, making what I would consider normal chicken noises.
Okay.
Didn't take just 1 shot,
Here we
but
go.
2 shots to kill it, Your Honor.
Okay. So, Miss Davis, when did this happen?
Wednesday, October 20th, 2004.
Ever had any difficulty with each other before?
No, but his dogs have been in my yard before.
Did you ever discuss that with him?
No, I didn't know where they belonged.
So when you saw his dogs in the yard, what did you do?
Usually I just shoot them away, but this time they didn't want to leave.
Okay, tell me what you observed.
We were standing in a window, looking out the window at some deer, and all of a sudden 2 dogs come running in the yard, so I ran outside to scare them away. The dogs grabbed a hold of the chicken and was shaking it and chewing on it, and I screamed and yelled to get them to leave. Next thing I know, Mr. Soros is standing in the bushes wanting to know what was going on, and I asked him if those were his dogs several times, and he wouldn't admit that they were.
Can I see a photograph, please?
There's also one of my live ones. They look a little different.
Your Honor, I'd like to please note that the photograph is on the back deck, and that when I saw the chicken, it was alive and well, sitting atop an egg at the back of the yard.
No, actually the egg was on the side of it.
The chicken was sitting on an egg.
Just a second, don't argue with him. He's going to have a chance. He doesn't know that yet, but he's going to have a chance. Well, I'd like to hear from your father.
Okay.
Your last name is?
Trainer.
Mr. Triner, tell me what you observed on the 20th of October.
We were looking out the bedroom window watching the couple of deer that were in the backyard, and I noticed the dogs, and I told Kathy the dogs were out there. She got her shoes on and left to go outside, and I got my shoes on and grabbed the gun and went outside. And when we got out there, the dogs had pretty well tore the chicken up.
What do you mean by that?
Well, the chicken's neck was broke. The egg which the chicken had laid that day was out on the ground. And the chicken was suffering, so I shot it.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to let you stay seated, okay? You think your grandpa and your mom told the story enough?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, now I'll hear you. How did your dogs get out?
Well, I let them out, Your Honor. I was in the backyard playing with my dogs and my son, and I went into the garage for a moment to get something off the workbench, and I heard screaming from the backyard, so I immediately ran towards the woods that separated my yard from Miss Davis's, at which time my 2 dogs came running from the woods, so I could assume that they had been in her yard. I grabbed them by the collar and put them in the fenced portion of my yard and scooped up my son and put him in the house. Then I immediately ran into Miss Davis's yard, and she was standing next to a chicken, and she was visibly upset and screaming. And I looked down at the chicken, and it was sitting with its wings folded, apparently in its nest, and making normal chicken sounds. And she was very upset. Her father came over with a high-powered air rifle and shot it in the back of the neck at point-blank range. The chicken was still alive after the first shot, so I question how injured it may have been. Secondly, he cocked the rifle again, shot it a second time.
Why do you think he did that? Do you think that he's some sort of sadist, sir?
I don't think he's trained in veterinary medicine, and the decision to put an animal down is not one that anybody can make.
How much do your dogs weigh, sir?
Each about 75 pounds.
And how much did the hen weigh, do you think?
2 or 3 pounds.
And you think that if they just picked it up in their mouth and say that they weren't looking to hurt the hen, they were just looking to play with it?
Well, if
sending it back and forth.
If they did that, Your Honor, they're very courteous dogs because they set it right back down on the egg.
You are responsible. And what you have to say is, I assume that responsibility. Because this gentleman did not shoot this hen out of sport. He may have been mistaken when he believed that the hen was so seriously injured that it could not have recovered. And maybe he was wrong when he said that the hen's neck was broken. That's still your fault.
Your Honor.
That's still, listen to me, that's still your fault. But for your irresponsibility, it wouldn't have happened. So you better be careful with your dogs. Because if instead of the hen, the dogs went over and decided to play with her daughter and inadvertently bit her because she was flailing her arms because she was frightened, that wouldn't be her fault. That would be your dog's fault. That would be your fault.
My dogs have no history of such behavior, Your Honor. If they had,
you're a dumb man. You are really a dumb man. You're not getting my message. You are so fixed in your position that you're not getting my message. What do you do for a living?
I'm a pilot.
Well, maybe that's why you're fixed, because you have to follow instructions, and if you don't follow instructions and veer off course to the letter, you can cause a great deal of damage. You're also supposed to use common sense as a pilot. You're suing for $4,500. That's outrageous. But Mr. Soros has to get the message. Judging for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,500. That's all. Step out.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Truck driver Charles Osborne is suing his former friend, writer Michael Lacey, for injuries due to a car accident. Charles says he was a backseat passenger when Michael choked on coffee and drove his car off the road.
Mr. Osborne.
Yes, ma'am.
You were a passenger in a car that was being driven by Mr. Lacey, according to your complaint. I don't know where you gentlemen were on your way to, but you're going to tell me you were sitting in the back seat. According to what I read, there was an accident, you were injured, and you want to be compensated for your medical bills, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And Mr. Lacey says this was an accident and you weren't wearing your seatbelt and whatever. Take care of your own medical expenses.
Yes, ma'am.
What were you doing in Mr. Lacey's car?
Mr. Lacey had been commandeered by my business partner, Frank Owen, to drive us to Rushville, to small claims court.
Who had to be in small claims court?
Mr. Owen did.
And what happened, sir?
We were eastbound on Route 52, and Mr. Lacey had just passed a car doing about 58, 60 miles an hour. And he had taken a drink of coffee at the time, and when he did, he choked on the coffee. He held the accelerator to the floor. We went off to the side of the road. Frank was in the front seat. He tried to grab the wheel to hold it on the road. And I had pulled my seatbelt off quick and tried to jump over the seat to grab the wheel. But at that time when we went off the road, and the car ended up going over some ravines and went catty-corner into a telephone pole, which hit like the rear door. And I slammed the door, knocked the power window buttons out of the door, broke the window out with my head. And the next time I knew, we finally stopped dead, and the airbag went off, and Mr. Lacey turned around to me and he said, "I believe we were in an automobile accident."
I believe you were right. Can I see those pictures? I'm anxious to see.
Sure.
So I assume that
It's the same paper. So.
It's the same paper.
Okay.
Can't believe I'm going to get paid for reading the paper. So this says that both passengers, both you and Mr. Owen, were taken to the hospital. Is that right?
Yes.
What were the extent of your injuries?
I had a collapsed lung, and I still have the problem. I can move my head over this far on the left, and I could come all the way over on the right, but I still can't move it completely right.
Well, what would you have to move it all the way over for? What particular
I
exercise?
probably wouldn't unless I was looking at...
I'm just curious.
I don't know, Your Honor.
Wait. Doctor, it hurts when I do this.
No,
Don't
I know.
do that.
No, I'm just curious. What is it in your life, in your work or social life or whatever, that would require you to go all the way over on you?
Well, I'm a truck driver, and I have to leave my head out the window a lot of times to see the cars.
Well, you go out like this. You don't go down like this, right?
Well, I go like this to leave.
Yeah, you go right just like
Yeah.
that. That's enough.
Okay. All right.
Seems to me that's enough.
Okay.
So you don't have any long-term disability. You had some short-term problems. Let me see that medical bills, please.
Okay.
And what the doctor had to say about you.
Have an ambulance bill and the hospital bill and the doctor bill.
Okay.
But the one's gone into collection, so but they're all together same dates.
Okay, Mr. Lacey, why shouldn't you be responsible for this? Didn't you have insurance?
I did not have insurance. It had lapsed.
Oh, Mr. Lacey, that's a big problem for you, sir.
Yes, I realize that, Your Honor.
Well, then why don't you think that you personally should be responsible for this? You were at fault in this accident.
I was at fault in the accident, but the plaintiff here says that he was injured and he was out of the car walking around when I regained consciousness from the airbag and did not exhibit any signs of trauma until the ambulance arrived. And then when the ambulance did arrive, he immediately went into a convulsed state and, made it sound like there was something wrong. And the rest of us were all walking around. He had been walking around.
Well, Mr. Owen was taken to the hospital, sir.
Mr. Owen was not taken to the hospital.
According to this, he was.
He was not.
Well, he was. And you're responsible. And if he wanted to go and get himself checked out, that's his prerogative. Mr. Osborne, you're suing for $5,000, sir. Why?
The hospital bills were $2,100.
Correct.
I was off work for 3 weeks, and I'm a percentage driver. I'm paid average about $820 a week.
Well, you have to show me something that indicates to me, sir, that you received medical treatment during the course of those 3 weeks, and the reason that you were out of work for 3 weeks was as a result of your injuries. Do you have medical records?
No, I don't. I didn't go see the doctor afterwards.
Well, that's unfortunate, sir. If I were out of work for 3 weeks, I would go see a doctor. You want to say anything?
Yes, I would, Your Honor. After leaving the hospital, Mr. Osborne walked to a nearby Pizza Hut to smoke a cigarette and drink a pop.
Did you do that, Mr. Osborne?
Yes, I did.
With a collapsed lung?
I didn't walk like I was jogging the 500, but I made it over there.
I mean, is what you're telling me, with a collapsed lung, you went over, you had a drink and a cigarette?
I tried to have the cigarette. I had the drive.
All right. Mr. Lacey, you are responsible minimally for his medical bills. Do you understand this?
Yes, ma'am.
Otherwise was an accident, and I don't think there was anything irresponsible other than the fact that perhaps you were drinking a cup of coffee and you choked on it. Maybe you should just concentrate on your driving. So you are responsible for his medical bills, not $5,000 for his being out of work, for his being uncomfortable, for whatever else. I don't have any proof of that. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,100. Thank you. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
20-year-old student Kimberly Johnson is suing her former friend, 22-year-old retail manager Michael Birch, for bailing him out of jail when he was arrested for unpaid traffic tickets.
Ms. Johnson, according to your complaint, Mr. Birch owes you for a loan. The loan was for bail money.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Birch says it was a nice gesture, but there was never a loan.
Yes, ma'am.
So it's up to me to find out the truth, right?
You're right.
Because I know the truth. So I have a few questions for you, Mr. Birch. What were you in jail for?
Traffic.
What, you were making traffic?
No, a ticket, unpaid ticket.
Huh?
Unpaid ticket.
An unpaid traffic ticket? What kind of traffic tickets?
More than one.
Look, don't look down. Look over here, because, Mr. Birch, let's go back a second. How many children are in your family?
I have 2 brothers, 1 sister.
And where does your mom live?
My mom lives in Georgia.
Is she a good mom?
Yes.
You think your mother is a truth machine? Could your mother always tell when the children were telling a lie or telling the truth? She's smart?
Not all the time.
I am.
Kimberly Johnson says former friend Michael Birch owes for a loan for bail.
How long were you in jail for a traffic ticket?
Not 4 or 5 hours.
And tell me how you came to be placed in jail.
Well, there was a warrant for my arrest, which I didn't know about.
And what was the nature of your traffic infraction, sir?
Unpaid park tickets. I ran a couple lights in a hurry. Speeding, a couple cases.
Now, how old were these tickets, Mr. Birch?
One was maybe a year old.
Why didn't you pay it?
Time passed by. I cut in the moment.
So I assume at some point they revoked your license.
Yes.
And when was that?
Around March.
And you continued to drive the car.
Yes.
Which you know is a crime.
Yes.
In what month were you finally stopped?
July.
Now, how do you know Miss Johnson?
Best friends for like 3 or 4 years.
How did you meet her?
I met her at the movies one night. Led to a very great relationship with her and I. Best friends for 4 years. I would say more than just a best friend relationship, as in we were like brothers, sisters.
Good. So that when you were arrested in July because you were a deadbeat with regard to these assorted violations involving your car, how many phone calls were you allowed?
I can make the phone calls out from a jail as many as I want.
How many did you make?
I made one.
Who did you make it to?
My best friend Kim.
Did you ask her how she was feeling?
No.
Did you say, did you have a good day?
No.
Did you say, I'm in jail?
Yes.
Did you say, can you bail me out?
No.
Did she say, how can I help you?
Yes.
Now, when you called her, Mr. Birch, from jail, I want you to try to think and get into yourself, sir. What did you hope would happen?
That she'd be there for me like best friends are supposed to do.
But I don't need any editorializing. You called her because you wanted her to bail you out.
Yes.
Now, these weren't her parking tickets, were they?
No.
She wasn't driving with a suspended license, was she?
No.
What do you do for a living, Mr. Birch?
I work at a retail store, fashion design, clothing.
And before that, what were you doing?
I worked for Singular Wireless.
What did Miss Johnson do for a living?
Miss Johnson currently in school. She also worked at a swimming facility. She was a swim teacher.
So she was supporting herself while she was going to school and paying for school?
Yes.
What I want to know is, why would you think that somebody should spend $500 to get you out of a predicament that you got yourself into when she is supporting herself, trying to better herself by going to school, and you're doing nothing but taking care of yourself?
Well, it's not about whether she would do it. In this case, your best friends, regardless if it's she or a male, you're supposed to be there for your best friend regardless of the situation it is. In this case, and since she's a girl, I'm assuming that she is innocent. No, I didn't make her pay this money. I didn't put a gun to her head. She chose to. This is my best friend.
I want you to look at his face. Do you know how disgusted he is with you? I think it's very nice that she took out the money from her ATM, from her bank account, or wrote out money, a check from her checking account, or borrowed money from her line of credit to go down to make sure that you didn't spend more than 5 hours in jail. And the next thing that should have happened was that you go to your ATM, to your line of credit, to your checking account, take out the money and say, thanks for being there for me as my friend, and here's the money back. Don't you get that? Don't you get that? $500?
Yes, ma'am.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500, that's all.
What is that, excuse me, step out.
Maintenance technician Joseph Trathan is suing his ex-girlfriend, inventory auditor Joelle Riffett, for the balance on a Dodge Stratus. Joelle claims the vehicle is Joseph's responsibility.
Mr. Trathan, according to your complaint, the defendant, who was your girlfriend, you have a child together, owes you for some money for a car.
Yes.
And Ms. Riffett, I don't know. I tried to figure out her answer, but it was all kind of very soft. She says you agreed to assume the losses for the car when you sold it. However, we're going to ferret out the truth. When did you purchase this car along with Ms. Riffett? In what year?
I co-signed, I believe, in 01.
When did you buy the car?
June of 2000.
What kind of car did you buy?
A Dodge Stratus.
It was your car.
Yes.
And he co-signed the loan because you couldn't get it without his co-signature. Is that right?
We actually were both on the loan equally, It was
Because you couldn't get it by yourself.
it was a lower interest that way.
Because you couldn't get it by yourself.
Yes.
And you kept the car from June of 2000 until when?
April 2004.
And what did you do with it?
Well, what happened was I left the house. I left him in October, and I tried maintaining the payments.
October of 2003.
Yes.
Okay.
So I was doing it. I had an apartment on my own, and I was trying to raise both my children, and I was having a hard time struggling making the payments because they were $330. And we had discussed it, and I asked him if he can help me out by taking the car because I can't afford it no more, so I can get a less expensive car. And the day before I gave it back to him, I called him and said, hey, Nissan called me, and they said they got a car for me for $4,500, which made my payments to be $170. Are you still willing to take it? Because I still had one more day to tell Nissan I didn't want it if he didn't agree. So he said, yeah, that's fine. We made arrangements. I dropped it off the car, and I put both sets of keys underneath the driver's seat. And after that, after I dropped it off on the 30th, I thought everything was done and fine. We were on good terms. I wasn't expecting any of this.
How much child support does he pay?
He pays me $205 now, but at the time...
Don't tap.
Okay.
$205 a what?
A week.
And how much child support do you get from the father of your other child?
$100 a week.
So you get twice that from him.
Now.
What were you getting before?
He was only giving me $100 a week.
And when did it double? Put your hand down. You're the girlfriend?
I'm the fiancé, ma'am.
Fiancé. We don't need you. We don't need to hear from you.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry.
Good.
On September 27th, we went to court, and that's when they distinguished $205 a week.
Now, sir, Ms. Riffett says that you agreed to take... Stop shaking your head. You look like making me seasick. Ms. Riffett says that you agreed to take the car and sell it. I assume sell it. Is that right?
No.
Well, tell me what you agreed to do.
I agreed to try to help her sell the car. I talked to my neighbors, some people at work, try to get rid of the car if I could.
Well, when she told you she wanted to get rid of the car, what did you say to her?
I said I would try... I would say I would try to help you get rid of the car if I could. If I can't, that's your responsibility. It was your car. I'm not going to take the loss.
You told her that? You told her those things?
Yes.
Yeah.
I said it's not my...
And what happened when she dropped the car off with the keys at your house?
Well, I didn't want to take on the responsibility of the extra car payment, or if I couldn't make it, going against my credit. So I gave myself like a month time limit to try to get rid of it because my neighbor was talking to her mom about trying to buy it. And then she got a hold of me. I couldn't sell it to her, so I went to CarMax, see how much they could offer to me for it.
Why didn't you try to sell it privately, put an ad in the paper?
Because I didn't want to continue making the payments. And also, if she's saying she couldn't afford it, when she moved out of the house, we split the equity in the house. I gave her a $10,000 check for the equity of the house several months later, which she knew she was going to get money for that.
You shouldn't have taken the car, sir. You have to have a contract with her.
I didn't take it. She left it on me.
Not have taken the car. You should have taken it back to her with the keys and said, this is your problem. This is your car. You've had it for 4 years. I'm not doing anything with it. But once you assume the responsibility by trying to sell it and then going ahead and selling it to somebody else, you can't come back against her for the difference. You didn't have a contract with her.
I was trying to do her a favor. That's it.
That's fine. You did her a favor. You did do her a favor.
Yeah.
Then what are you bothering me for?
Because, and then she's saying she couldn't afford it, but she, gave it to me in April? That's 5 months later.
You have to have a contract with her. An agreement, oral, written. And the oral or written agreement says, if you sell the car at a loss, I will pay the difference. You didn't have that contract with her.
No, but I know I couldn't let it sit there and not have anyone make payments on it. She could have given me half the money.
What happens, sir, is that after she stops making payments, they're going to repossess the car. If she let that happen. Now, she may not have let that happen because she has a job and she doesn't want her credit destroyed. But once you assume the responsibility by selling the car without a contract, oral or written, with her, you cannot then come to court and say, well, she should have done this. She should have made the payments. She should not have put me in that position. She should not have dropped the car off at my house. She dropped the car off, you took the car, and you sold it. That's your problem.
But I was trying to do the right thing.
Good.
And I didn't want it affecting my credit. It would have been too late if I would have waited for something like that.
I have to tell you, sir, I'm very sympathetic with you. You should not have done it. This is a court. Courts deal with contracts. You did not have a contract with her.
I have contracts on how much I paid
Sorry.
on it.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
21-year-old department store manager Ashley McLeish is suing her former friend, retail salesperson Angela Kramer, for her share of a trip to Las Vegas. Angela claims Ashley and her witness coerced her into going.
How old are you, Miss McLeish?
21.
Miss Kramer?
21.
You used to be really good friends, and you claim that Miss Kramer owes you for her share of a trip that the two of you took to Las Vegas.
Correct.
And Miss Kramer says she had a lousy time, right?
Yeah.
And in addition to having a lousy time, she never agreed to pay you back.
That is incorrect.
Miss Kramer, what do you do for a living?
I'm a student in a retail sales.
Where do you work?
I work at Mervin's.
You live by yourself?
No.
Who do you live with?
I live with my father.
In his house?
Yes.
Miss McLeish, what about you? You're a student?
Yeah, I go to Golden West College, and I'm a retail manager at Mervin's, and I live with my parents.
Okay, good. Now, you went on vacation?
Yes.
For how long?
3 days.
You were going there for what reason?
Because it was our 21st birthday, so me, her, and my witness wanted to have a good time, and on our 21st birthday, Vegas is like the place to be.
Good. So, you asked her to go with you?
Yes.
She said?
Yes.
And?
So I looked online for prices for hotel and airfare because we wanted to fly there. And after...
Did Miss Kramer say that you should put these charges on your credit card?
I agreed to put it on my credit card, and the agreement was that she would pay me back before we left on August 1st.
Your Honor, that's not...
Just a second. She didn't pay you back?
No, she hadn't paid me back.
What did she tell you about paying you back?
She said she'll get back to me. So I figured it was like she'd pay me back when we got back because we were having a great time. We both had fun. We went out to dinner, we went dancing, we went to clubs, we went and got VIP everything. We didn't have to pay for anything. And all she did was...
Why not?
Why not? Because the month before we had made a connection. Our friend knows a lot of like security guards, and he knows a lot of bouncers, so we got to get in free. We didn't have to wait in like 2-hour lines to get in the best clubs.
Okay. According to you, you had a good time.
Right.
Came back, she didn't pay.
Right.
Go.
I never agreed to pay. When she said that the hotel, the price of it, I said that's way too high and I'd rather just stay at my family's house because I can stay there for free.
So why didn't you?
Because when I told them that, they said, just don't worry about it.
And somebody dragged you on the plane?
Well, you know, it's my 21st birthday. I was trying to distance myself anyways, and that's why...
I'm asking you, somebody dragged you on the plane?
No.
Well, if you didn't want to go, why did you go?
Because they said, just don't worry about the costs.
Well, why would you think that they would take you away on vacation?
Because that's what they said.
I don't believe you.
Okay.
I don't believe you.
I actually have pictures, if I could show you, of her having a good time dancing.
I don't care whether she had a good time or whether she had a lousy time. It's irrelevant to me.
Your Honor, I was trying to get out of the vacation because I didn't want to go with them. And when they said, just come on, please go, I decided, fine, I'll go. Because they said, don't worry about any of the costs, don't worry about anything,
Your Honor,
just
may I
go.
say something, please?
Step up. Tell me your name.
My name is Lori Irigoyen, and we spoke to her the night before we left, and she said, yeah, she couldn't afford it, but then we said, okay, we've still put it on a credit card, you need to pay us back, or you need to pay Ashley back. She didn't want to do that. Well, you can't
Well, what did she say?
She said, no, I don't have to pay you back. If I don't go, I shouldn't have to pay you back.
Exactly.
Why did you call the night before?
Because I had talked to them recently before that also, because what I was doing was I was talking to my backgrounds investigator, and when I was going through looking at the lie detector test and polygraph...
I have no idea what you're talking about now.
Well,
I have absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
What it is I'm going for a future career in the criminal justice, and so I was talking to a backgrounds investigator, and she was showing me the polygraph test that you would have to be taking, and it had to ask questions about your friends and what you know about your friends, and that can make you fail and make it so you can't get into a premier area.
So?
So I
Just
had
a minute, please.
I had decided that I didn't want to be around any negative influences where I know that things are going on.
So why did you go?
Because I made a mistake. I thought...
Good. Yeah, that's what you say. You say, I made a mistake. And when you make a mistake, what do? Pay! Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $296.45.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
18-year-old homemaker April Fernandez is suing her boyfriend's sister, 24-year-old nurse's assistant Sheba Holt, for the return of a security deposit. Sheba says she kept the money because April ran up a $400 phone bill.
Miss Fernandez, I assume this is your boyfriend?
Yes.
Your brother?
Yes.
According to what I read, Miss Fernandez, in your complaint, you had been living with Miss Holt.
Her mother.
And
Correct.
she lived there too?
Yes.
With a boyfriend. And there came a time when you and Miss Holt decided to rent an apartment together. You gave her a deposit, $300.
Yes.
And then you changed your mind.
Yes.
Why did you change your mind?
During the time my son was in the hospital, and she would come up and visit.
Is he the father of that child?
Yes, he is.
How old is that child?
Now he's 4 months, 5 months actually.
Go ahead.
And during the time my son was in the hospital for surgery, he was only a couple weeks old, and my boyfriend and I planned to get our own apartment. We were living at his mom's house rent-free, and we were trying to save our money to get our own apartment. She came up with the idea that let's live together and we'll split the rent. So I went along with it. She picked me up, took me to the bank, I withdrawed money, and the day later I got released from the hospital, asked her to pick me up, and she never showed up. So I changed my mind and I asked for my money back, and she never paid me back.
That's incorrect. She lived with me because that is my home also. I pay half the bills, I pay the phone bill, I pay half the mortgage, everything. Me and my mother share the home. And so, yes, she was living with me under my roof.
That's fine. She gave you $300. You don't deny she gave you $300.
No, I don't deny that she gave me $300, but I also don't believe that I owe her $300.
Well, that's what you have to explain to me.
Well, I have a phone bill here from when she stayed at my house. I did say that she can stay rent-free until after she had her child, but I didn't say that she can run my phone bill up.
Incorrect.
And so when I got my phone bill and seen all these collect calls that she accepted from that young man who was in jail, I didn't feel like I needed to pay her $300 due to the fact that mortgage was due. We were all still living in that house.
Okay, I got it. Step. Ms. Holt, let me tell you this. Generally speaking, you can't do what you want to do, which is write off the $300. And I understand you gave her $70 back.
Yes, I did, because I felt
and you
bad.
acknowledge she gave you $70 back.
Yes, she did.
You can't decide that you're going to hold that for bills unless you had a contract that provided that she was to pay a phone bill.
Why would I need a...
Listen to me. Why? I don't know why. I have no idea why. She was staying at your house with a baby. He's in jail for what?
Anything.
What, me? But no.
Oh, I was in jail for a probation violation because I didn't show up to court, failure to appear. And so I had a warrant for my arrest, and I got put in jail for 2.5 months. Then I got out, and...
What had you been convicted of?
What have I been convicted of?
That was my question. You have the answer.
Well, I got convicted of what was it again? It was it was grand theft, but that was in 2000.
2000 grand theft. I want to know what you were violated on, sir. What underlying crime were you violated on?
I was violated because I had a dirty pee test because I, smoked weed or whatever.
Oh, my God.
So I got in trouble for that, and I had to do 3 months, and I got out, had a baby, and, I wanted to get myself together and get out of my mom's house.
Sounds like the American dream to me.
Yeah.
Sit down.
Okay.
I have enough. Miss Holt,
Your Honor.
Miss Holt, listen to me very carefully.
Sure.
You owe her $230. Who are you living with now?
I still live at my same house.
Perfect. With your mother?
Yes.
Now, what about him?
And he comes in and out as he pleases, bringing his little entourage to come live on me.
Do you know why that is, Miss
Why?
Holt? Because your mother permits it.
Well, anyhow, I live there, though,
No,
and I pay half of the bills.
Am I speaking? When I speak, you don't. Take your hand off your hip. Only attitude here is mine.
That's right.
Your problem is you live with your mother. This is her baby.
No,
No. He's her baby. You're grown up. You work, right?
Yes.
You help pay the bills?
Yes.
You have a responsible job?
Yes.
You've had it for how long?
Forever.
Forever?
Yes.
He will always be her baby because he's never going to grow up. He's never going to be responsible. You have to find your own place because your mother is always going to let him come back into the house. Always going to let him come back with his entourage, and it's always going to irritate you. So if you want to be free of that stress and aggravation, find your own place. Now I'm going to listen to you.
Okay, Judge, I just don't understand why she is suing me when I pulled her out of a situation where her mother, she's pregnant at 18 years old, 17, and her mother's getting ready to send her to jail pregnant. You know what I'm saying?
my mother...
I don't want you to interrupt her.
And, you know, all these things, and she's putting her out. And I stopped what I was doing when this fool called me from jail saying, can you rescue my broad? So I go get her, bring her to my house, you know what I'm saying? Let her live in my room, rent-free, you know, and this is what I get. This is what I get in return. I get sued for taking care of this youngster.
Miss Holt.
She's wrong. I'm wrong for taking her into my home.
Don't speak.
Letting her use me, that's what I'm wrong for.
Miss Holt.
Yes, ma'am.
You are morally correct. You cannot, however, take her $230. Do I think that she's right to sue you after living, you know,
on me for over 6 months?
Do I think so? I think she lacks a certain amount of character.
Yes.
Right? But it looks like for every pot there's a cover. You get it? You get it?
Yes, I do.
Good. I'm glad I gave you a good laugh. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $230. Listen, don't be such a good person anymore.
You're right about that.
And find your own place, because your mother's always going to take him back. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
21-year-old hairstylist Nina Campbell is suing her ex-boyfriend, 25-year-old construction worker Orlando Noguera, for kicking her out of their leased apartment. Nina says Orlando stopped paying rent until he was ultimately evicted.
All rise. Your Honor, case number 445 on the calendar in the matter of Campbell versus Noguera. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat.
Ms. Campbell, you and Mr. Noguera lived together for a period of time. You were both signatories on a lease.
At one moment in time.
Well, it was more than a moment.
Yes.
According to your complaint, he asked you to leave the apartment. You did leave. Mm-hmm. And you left after you paid that month's rent. So you want that portion of the rent back that you paid.
Correct.
And in addition, since Mr. Noguera asked you to leave, and you claimed that he said he would take care of it, his cousin or somebody, or uncle, was going to move in, and did move in to the apartment, that you should be off the hook for the rest of the rent. Mr. Noguera left owing rent on the apartment. Is that right, sir?
That's correct.
And according to you, the landlord is coming after you for the money.
Both of us, yes.
Let me see the notification from the landlord.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When did you move in together?
About the middle of April of last year.
And when did you move out?
The beginning of June of last year.
Why did you move out?
We had broken up and I was forced to move out. I was kicked out.
What do you mean you broke up and you were forced to move out?
I came home. He was very disgruntled with me, upset, and he kicked me out.
Well, what did he say?
He basically said that he didn't want me in his house and in his bed, which it was all partially mine too. And the next morning I grabbed my stuff as much as I could and left.
Is that right?
Yeah, but not exactly, Judge. That's not exactly the way everything went down.
Is it close?
It's close, yes.
So you told her you didn't want her around anymore?
No. It was a mutual thing. You know what I mean? We had been together for a while, and she had been going through some financial problems, and I had started to feel like I was raising her almost, like I was her dad. You know what I mean? I was teaching her a lot of things, and I felt like she was trying to...
I'm not interested.
Play house with me.
Listen to me. I'm not interested. Did you ask her to leave?
I thought it would be a good idea if she left, and she agreed.
Don't play with me. Don't play with me. I'm just asking you. You didn't kick her out. You didn't punch her.
No, exactly.
I'm just asking you. Did you ask her to leave?
Yeah, I thought yes, I did.
And did you, in fact, tell her, Mr. Noguera, that your uncle was going to move in?
My uncle was planning to move in to help me with my share of the rent.
No, Mr. Noguera, that's stupid.
That's not
Let me explain. That's stupid.
I mean, we agreed upon her leaving. When the time that it's my responsibility...
Listen to me very carefully.
To pay for the rent.
Listen to me very carefully.
Okay,
before you say anything that's going to make you look stupid.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I mean, because you don't appear to be a really stupid man.
Thank you. I'd appreciate it.
I said you don't appear to be a really stupid man, Mr. Noguera. So I'm going to give you an opportunity to prove me right.
Okay.
Two people rent an apartment together, and each one of them is paying half the rent. One person says, I don't think it's a good idea that we live together anymore. I think you should leave. And my uncle is going to be moving in. Would you think, sir, that a reasonable person would assume that the rent that your uncle pays would go towards your half of the rent?
Yes, a reasonable
Yes.
person would say
I
that,
just
yes.
wanted to make sure.
Okay.
You see how smart you're getting? Who are you?
I'm the uncle.
You get it, don't you?
Yes, ma'am.
Right?
On his moving in, being that her name was still on the lease, isn't it her responsibility to still pay her rent?
I asked the question. Shut quiet.
Yes or no?
Mr. Noguera,
Okay,
listen
I'm
to me
sorry.
carefully, sir.
Excuse me, I'm sorry.
Right.
Excuse me.
I ask the questions.
I'm sorry.
I don't answer the
I
questions.
apologize.
What I'm telling you, sir, is between the two of you and the landlord, you're still responsible. Both of you, still responsible, individually and jointly. So we can come after both of you.
Right.
Right? But I assume that he is serious because he keeps sending you these nasty letters. Has anybody gotten served with a letter from an attorney?
I do have a actually money judgment and a notice to vacate that was canceled.
May I see it? And on what basis was it canceled, madam?
It was canceled because he moved out the day prior to it actually being served.
I see. So this was a dispossess. They just wanted him out because he hadn't been paying rent. Now, why hadn't you been paying rent, Mr. Noguera?
Well, after she left, the burden of the rent was so overwhelming for me I couldn't pay it anymore. You know what I mean? He had moved in to help me with the rent and help us out, but with my work, I'm in construction, so it started falling off a little bit, and I couldn't afford it anymore. So I didn't have anywhere to go, and I had to be there not paying rent. I realized that that's a big problem with my apartments and stuff, so I had to move, and I got my stuff together when I could, and I did leave at that time.
You want to say anything?
No, I don't.
That's a real good idea. And who is this?
That's my wife.
And when did she move in?
She didn't move in.
When did she come to stay?
She didn't come to stay.
When did she sleep there?
Well, I don't know. Okay.
When did she sleep there?
She had never. Well, she came over and she would hang out with me, but she never moved in or brought her stuff
Mr. Noguera,
over.
you are an amoral person who thinks that you can get along with a glib tongue and a smile. I got news for you, sir. I am not impressed. I don't find you either attractive or adorable.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Maybe you had bad upbringing. Maybe your parents didn't know how to raise you.
Parents are excellent.
Then they are disappointed in you. Because either you didn't learn the lessons or they didn't teach them to you. Which one is it?
And later today,
Dogs grabbed a hold of the chicken and was shaking it and chewing on it, and I screamed and yelled to get him to leave.
Then I got my shoes on and grabbed the gun and went outside.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Nina Campbell says her ex-boyfriend, Orlando Noguera, kicked her out of their shared apartment. Now she is liable for the lease.
I find what you're doing here today really reprehensible. You're trying to make excuses for conduct that you can't excuse. You did the wrong thing. You stiffed the landlord for no reason other than the fact you had your uncle living with you. Between the two of you, you looked as if you went out at 8 o'clock in the morning from 8 to 8, collected cans and turned them in. You could collect enough money. You look as if neither one of you was missed a meal in a very long time. You stiffed the landlord. You try to put the burden, I'm speaking, you try to put the burden on your former girlfriend of this, which is really your responsibility. It is your responsibility, and you come here with a glib attitude and think that I'm going to find you adorable. Well, I'm quite frankly, sir, I don't. I think that if you came here and said, listen, I fell on hard times, I didn't have the money, I know it's the wrong thing to do, I didn't do the right thing, then I would say, okay, he's not a bum. But when you ask her to leave, and she doesn't want to live in this apartment with you anymore, you're not getting along, you asked her to leave. I'm speaking. She left. She did what you asked for. You moved somebody else in. You moved your uncle. Then for a period of time, your now wife was living with you.
She was never living with us.
Sir, I guarantee you that there were nights that she stayed over.
Well, because she stayed over doesn't mean she was living there.
You're doing it again. You're doing it again. Don't you get it? You treated it as your apartment, and you didn't pay rent. You stiffed the landlord, and you forced him to go to court and spend legal fees, spend money, in order to get you out of the apartment, because that's a scam. What do you do for a living?
I'm in construction. I do windows and doors.
You work for a company?
That's correct.
You get paid every week?
Definitely.
You like to get paid every week?
It's my favorite part.
Good. You're a smart aleck. But I'm going to tell you, you wouldn't like it if you worked for a week and your boss decided not to pay you. And if you worked for 2 weeks and your boss decided not to pay you, I guarantee you, you and your uncle over here would be on a picket line outside alleging lots of things. Well, that's the way your landlord makes money. Your landlord is in construction, and his construction is he has apartments that he rents to people who use his property, and he expects to get paid, just like you expect to get paid for your work. And when you don't do that, when you're just a wise guy, maybe you've had bad upbringing, maybe your parents didn't know how to raise you.
My parents are excellent parents.
I want to tell you something, sir. Then they are disappointed in you. Well, because either you didn't learn the lesson or they didn't teach them to you. It could only be either one of two things. Either they didn't teach them to you, which makes them bad parents, or you didn't learn them. Which one is it?
I suppose
could only be those two things, sir.
Okay.
Either you didn't learn them.
It's that I didn't learn.
Right. You didn't learn them. So what you have to do is you have to assume responsibility. And as soon as I see a lawsuit directed against either one of you for what is owed on this lease, I'm going to enter a judgment against you for the full amount. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Because that's your responsibility. You can't grow up expecting somebody else to take care of you. Her, the landlord, your uncle, somebody else, your wife, whatever. You work?
Yes, I do.
Good. You better hold on to your job. You got my judgment?
Clear.
That's all.
All right, excuse, you may step out.
We moved into the place and it felt like she was playing house.
I think it was kind of funny because I was not home a lot because I was working a full-time job and going to school. I had 14-hour days. I had no time for home.
She stayed out all night till about 4 in the morning, wants to crawl into bed next to me. I'm not going to have that. No way.
That was the one moment in time. It was the night that we broke up that I came home late because I just needed to get out.
Very bad experience and a lesson learned.
And now the next case. This man, West Baum, is suing his ex-wife, property manager Lisa Baum, for filing false charges against him. Lisa claims West violated a restraining order.
Come to order, all rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. That's case number 463 on the calendar in the matter of Baum versus Baum. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Mr. Baum, the defendant is your former wife, and it is your claim that she filed a false charge of violating a protective order against you. You want to be compensated for being taken into custody and those false charges. And Ms. Baum said she did not, that you did, in fact, violate a protective order, and she did not accuse you of any crime. She just merely did what she was supposed to do, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When were you and the defendant married?
1984.
And when were you divorced?
1999.
And you have 2 children?
Yes, ma'am.
How old are they?
17 and 16.
When you divorced, who got custody of the children?
I did.
Was that after a trial or by agreement?
Trial.
And these are your 2 girls?
Yes, ma'am.
How long did the girls live with you?
Up till 2003.
So far, are those dates correct?
No, ma'am.
He got custody of the children in 1999?
Yes, ma'am.
And they lived with him until what year?
2002.
What month?
November.
What happened in 2002?
I received a call from him, and he said Katrina wanted to come live with me, so I went and got her. Elizabeth stayed with her dad.
Okay, so Katrina, one child came to live with you in November. That's
Yes,
Katrina.
ma'am.
Did there come a time when Elizabeth went to live with her mother?
Only through why we're here. She went to do visitation. At that point in time, her mother went to the court and filed a protective order saying that I gave her a black eye.
When was that?
August of 2002. No, 2003, I'm sorry.
And so from August of 2003 until what time, what month and year did Elizabeth stay with you?
December of 2004.
And what happened in December of 2004?
On December 1st, Katrina and I had gotten into an argument that morning, and the girls proceeded to go to school. Elizabeth went to school and decided she didn't want to be with me anymore, so she left school grounds without anybody's permission, got a ride to her dad's work, and she's been there ever since.
When did you find out that she was missing?
Like 30 minutes. I called the school because I kind of had an idea. I had called Elizabeth's cell phone.
Well, if you had an idea, then something more happened. Then you had an argument with Katrina, Miss Baum.
No, ma'am, it was just an
Well, then
argument.
why, if you had an argument with one child, why would you think that something happened to your other
Because
child?
Elizabeth went to the school and told them that she wanted Child Protective Services called.
Against you?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, so well, that would give you a clue.
But it was unfound.
Just a second. But that would give you a clue that there was trouble. And that all happened on December 1st.
Yes, ma'am.
Step up. You're 17, Elizabeth?
Yes, ma'am.
You live with your father?
Yes, ma'am.
What happened in your house December 1st?
December 1st, my sister, we got ready for school and came downstairs, and my sister and my biological mother had gotten into an argument. My biological mother told my sister that she was going to strangle her, and that was not the first time she has put her hands on my sister. And so we went to school. She had called my cell phone when we were at the bus stop.
Well, what did you say to your mother when she said that? Did you say anything?
I just looked at her and was like, no, you're not. And then so we left the house and went to the bus stop, and she called my cell phone and told me to tell my sister to come back home because she has to pack her things and leave. Then we got on the bus and she called my cell phone back, and Katie was on the bus with me. She didn't go home, so she was like, I'm coming to pick her up from school to bring her back home to pack her things and leave. So when I told Katie that, she started crying, and we got to school.
So far, is that right, Katie?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, go ahead.
So we got to school, and the senior administrator was upstairs, and she saw that Katie was crying, and she asked me what happened. And I was telling her what happened. Then she took us down to the guidance office, and the resource officer is the one that said he was going to call Child Protective Services.
And who called your father?
I did later that day.
Where were you?
It was right after 3rd block, and...
You mean in school?
Right. And I had a voicemail on my phone, a vulgar voicemail, saying that she was going to kill me too, and that everything was going to come back on me.
You mean it was from your mother?
Right. Yes, ma'am. She was going to be home when I got home, and I was going to get what's coming to me. So after I listened to that message, I called my father and told him what happened. And I guess at that point, it was just, I couldn't take it anymore.
Now, Mr. Baum, who contacted you, sir? The police? Or did you contact the police that
Well,
day?
she called me at work, and I knew I had a protective order against me.
When was that protective order granted?
I have it here in my documents.
Can I have it, please?
Here's a series of protective orders from where it started to where I got custody. But that particular day...
Just one second, sir. Why did you file for an initial protective order, Mrs. Baum?
When I picked Elizabeth up, she had a black eye.
When was that?
August of 2003.
Yes?
And I asked her what happened. She told me a speaker fell on her. I didn't believe that. So we talked more throughout the weekend, and then she told me her dad punched her for lying and having people in his house that stole some stuff from him. So I went to the magistrate. A protective order was issued. We went to court, and the judge told him that he had to take an anger management class.
You went to the police, Mrs. Baum, is that right, on December the 1st or the 2nd?
The 1st.
And do you have the application that you filled out for the violation of the protective order?
There is no application.
What did you tell the magistrate?
I told the magistrate, I showed him a copy of the current protective order that says that he may have telephone contact with the children and physical contact that I approve. I told the magistrate that Elizabeth was at his house, that she does not have permission to be there. If she wants to live with her father, there's a right way and a wrong way to do it.
Just a minute. What you told the judge, according to you,
the magistrate.
That's a judge.
Oh, okay.
Was that, here's the protective order, my daughter is there, and she's not there with my permission.
Correct.
That's what you told him?
Yes, ma'am.
Period.
Yes, ma'am.
Based upon that, he issued an arrest warrant.
Yes, ma'am.
How come you didn't tell the judge, Miss Baum, that your daughter had run away, that she had called Child Protective Services against you? All of that you knew by that time.
Your Honor, I did. I told the magistrate the whole story of the whole day.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
You went to file a violation of a protective order, and you knew your daughter wasn't in danger. You knew she wasn't at risk. You knew you had had a fight with her that day. You knew that she had gone to the school and caused them to call Child Protective Services. And knowing all of that, for some bizarre reason, you elected instead of going to the family court to try to get the matter resolved, somehow in the family court, letting the situation cool down for a day, seeing how you could resolve it with your daughter, you decided to go in to file a violation of a 6-month-old protective order. And I don't understand what was your motivation.
Your Honor, my issue wasn't with Elizabeth at all that day. It was with my other one.
I understand that your initial problem was with your other daughter, but it was Elizabeth who spoke to the guidance counselor. It was Elizabeth who caused them to contact Child Protective Services, who ultimately contacted you and started all the trouble for you. And you reacted to that, Mrs. Baum, by going to court, and instead of letting things settle down with your 2 girls, going to court and making trouble for your ex-husband.
No, that's
exactly what you did. Oh, yes, that is exactly what you did. Your former husband is suing you for $2,000. He said he was arrested. How long were you taken into custody for, sir?
I was released that day. But if I may add on that?
Yeah.
Prior to that, my daughter called me about 12:30 that day, and because where they live is in a separate city, I told her to call the Virginia Beach Police Department to find out what they would have her do, and they said, come see me. So she got a ride to home, and she got a ride from home to my work. At that point, I got a couple calls on my cell phone. I'm not sure if I responded to a call, if I called her back and said, hey, she's here with me, but do not come up here and cause any trouble. After work, we'll settle this, we'll go through it, find out what's going on, and get to the bottom of this. Later that night, she called her, Elizabeth, up. My ex called her Elizabeth up and said, I want your cell phone and your key. She came over to the house and got the cell phone and her key to the house.
Did you go to his house?
I went to the parking lot next door at like 7 o'clock at night to pick up the cell phone that's in my name and my house key.
But not your daughter?
No, she didn't.
No, why? No, because...
Your Honor, I can't pick her up and put her in the car.
Because she didn't want to go home with you.
That's right. So,
and if you, are you telling me, are you suggesting to me that this magistrate before whom you appeared to get a protective order, you told him that your daughter didn't want to go home with you, she was okay with her father, and you went and you got your cell phone because you were worried she would make telephone calls? We're worried about her. Worried that she would make telephone calls. Your Honor, you're absolutely right, sir. It was vicious and it was vindictive.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today.
After leaving the hospital, Mr. Osborne walked to a nearby Pizza Hut to smoke a cigarette and drink a pop.
Did you do that, Mr. Osborne?
Yes, I did.
With a collapsed lung?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. West Baum says his ex-wife, Lisa Baum, falsely accused him of violating a protective order. West says because of Lisa's actions, he was arrested.
Now, your motivation for going to the judge for a violation of protective order, I believe, was vicious and vindictive and had absolutely nothing to do with the safety of your child. Because your actions that day belie the fact that it had anything to do with the safety of your child, because you went there alone to get your key and your cell phone. And if you actually had fear for your child's safety, you would have called the police and said, please come with me. I have to go get my daughter. She is in danger. You didn't do that.
I did do that. We went to his employment to get her with the police.
They had me arrested.
Just a second.
No, to pick up my daughter. I didn't care what happened to him.
Just a second. And what happened when you went there?
They weren't there. Your Honor, I didn't get any help from the police.
You didn't need any help getting the key and the cell phone, only your daughter. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested, $2,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Now I married a beautiful wife, and she has a problem with it.
I left messages with him, you know, call me, let's work this out, and I don't get any reply. I think he's afraid of what his wife will say.
She didn't want me, and she didn't want nobody else to have me.
No, that's not true.
It's the first time that I've gotten justice in the court system for a long time. I feel good.
And now the next case. Medical Secretary Gianna Hodges is suing her neighbor, housekeeper Regina Smith, for vandalism to her car. Gianna claims Regina's kids, 11-year-old Chardacia Hopkins and 9-year-old Shamara Hopkins, scratched it with rocks.
Yes, this is case number 406 on the calendar in the matter of Hodges versus Smith. Parties have been sworn in. You may be seated. Young ladies, have a seat.
Tell me your name.
Micaiah Hodges.
How old are you, Micaiah?
I'm 10 years old.
10? What's your name?
Shadeja Hopkins. Shamir Hopkins.
How old are you?
11.
And you?
9.
Stand up with your mother. You too. Are you a friend of Makia's?
No. No.
Why not?
Because she's always sticking her middle finger up at somebody. She's always getting smart and all her ass.
I didn't understand that. I didn't understand what you said, so you have to say it slower.
Okay. She's always putting her eyes at people. She's always trying to get smart. And
Putting her eyes on people?
Rolling her eyes.
Rolling her eyes.
Yes.
She's rolling her eyes.
Rolling. Oh.
I'm trying to understand what your daughter is saying. She's not always going to have you as an interpreter.
I understand, Your Honor.
Good. How is she getting smart?
She's always sticking her finger up at people. She's always saying cuss words and stuff at people.
Really? So what do you do to her when she does that to you?
Pulled her hair.
Now, she didn't pull your hair, did she? Did she pull your hair before you pulled her hair? Make sure you tell the truth. No. Now, were you alone when you pulled her hair?
No.
Who were you with?
My sister and my cousin.
And where were you when you pulled her hair?
At her house.
What were you doing at her house?
She was in front of her house with her friends, and she was supposed to be in the backyard, and she came in the front.
What did you go to her house for?
You play in front of her house.
Why don't you play in front of your house?
Because we be with our friends and...
Because you were trying to annoy her?
No.
Which one of you scratched Mrs. Hodges' car? Raise your hand.
Neither.
Who scratched her car? Well, that's what this case is about. This case is about your two daughters who have been harassing this little girl, right?
Well, that's
seems to me, based upon 3 minutes worth of questioning, that that's what's going on here, and I'm only getting a part of the story. Because rolling of the eyes does not equate to putting your hands on somebody else, right?
Well, another child might feel a little differently about being harassed in the window and out the door and out the window when her mother's not paying attention to her rolling her eyes, sticking up her middle finger. That's right.
Apple doesn't
to another
fall
child.
far from the tree. That's what we got. We got an apple that doesn't fall far from the tree. We've got a mother who doesn't say to her children, you don't put your hands on somebody else, even if they roll their eyes or if they say bad words to you, which I doubt happened. Which I doubt happened. But when you have a mother who condones it, then you have trouble. That's what happens. So it's up to you to take control of Smarty Pants and her sister over here and explain to them that you don't put your hands on another person unless they touch you first and you're trying to defend yourself. And if you can't teach that to your daughters, I guarantee you won't be visiting them at their college graduations. Guaranteed.
Well, that's what
Guaranteed. That's what I know.
Well,
and I've been in the business a lot longer than you've been alive.
Well, that's what you say.
That's what I know. Not what I say, what I know.
Who said that I haven't taught them that?
Well, you just said to me, that's the way a child reacts if somebody rolls
Well,
their
I said
eyes.
that's a child reaction, but I have talked to my children. They had no business putting their hands on a little girl. whether she was
Fine,
doing
then
that
that's
or
all you
not
had to say
them.
to me.
After all, I am a mother of 6, and I
Good.
do know how to raise children.
Well, did you punish them for doing what they did?
Yes, I did.
Tell me how you punished them.
You see, I would make them stay in, and they wouldn't be allowed to play at their girlfriend's house, who does live down there in the neighbor's block.
Well, that sounds like you're making it up as you're going along.
Oh,
Mrs.
well.
Hodges, let's get on to the car. What happened with the car?
It was in August. I heard laughing outside of my door, and it was a long time with these girls coming down to the house. They went into my yard to get my daughter. That day they were kicking my door and screaming, and they were like, your kids are ugly, I hope you drop your little ugly baby. At that time my baby was 3 weeks old. And I went to my daughter's window, and it's at the front of the house. I looked out the window and I saw them out there. I didn't know what they were doing, and then I saw them run. It was the next morning that I came out and saw that they had scratched the car.
You have a police report?
Yes, I do.
Can I see it?
I also have pictures of the car.
Do you have a follow-up report from the officer?
Yeah, what he did was he spoke to...
No. What I want to know is if there was a follow-up report indicating that the officer spoke to Mrs. Smith and her girls. The officer come to speak to you?
Yes, he did.
And your girls?
He spoke to me.
Did he speak to the girls?
Yes, he did speak to one of the girls.
Which one did he speak to?
He spoke to Shardasia.
Did you tell the police officer that you had scratched the car?
No.
Did you tell the police officer who scratched the car?
No, ma'am.
Did you tell the police officer you were there when somebody scratched the car?
Yes.
What did they scratch the car with?
I think it was a rock.
You think it was a rock? I want you to hold up your hand and tell me how big the rock was.
About this big.
What color was the rock? Black, white, brown?
Brown.
Rough edges, or was it smooth?
Rough edges.
Rough edges. Now, so we know that the rock was about this size, brown, and it had rough edges on it. Now, who was carrying it?
My cousin.
Your cousin who?
Tashina.
And who used it to scratch the car?
This girl named Justice.
Justice has a last name?
I don't know her last name.
Do you know her last name?
No, I don't.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you tell that to your mother?
No.
Is this the first time you're telling your mother that your cousin had the rock and Justice was the one who used the rock? Is this the first time you're telling your mother that? Your mother's looking like, yes, that this is the first time she's hearing that from you.
Yes.
You think that I believe you?
No.
You're right. And you want to know something else? Your mother doesn't believe you either.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
They're traveling in a pack, and they're doing the wrong thing, and they are being encouraged by pack behavior and your behavior. And if you don't take it seriously, I'm telling you, college, no, detention facility, yes.
And later today.
Did your mother always tell when the children were telling a lie or telling the truth? She's smart?
Not all the time.
I am.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Gianna Hodges says her neighbors, 11-year-old Shardasia Hopkins and 9-year-old Shamara Hopkins, scratched her car with rocks. Gianna also says the girls have been terrorizing her daughter, Micaiah.
Young lady, you are always in life going to meet people that are smarter than you are, because I know that you think that you're a hotshot. You're 11 years old and you know a lot, but you know nothing. So when you tell the truth, you don't have to have a good memory. When you make up stories and you lie, you have to have a very good memory. Do you understand that concept?
Yes.
I don't know whether you do, but your mother does. Can I see pictures of the damage to the car, please?
Well, Your Honor, may I say something?
Sure.
I seen the car, and I stopped and I knocked on Mrs. Hodges' door. And I spoke to her at that time, my daughter and I, and she showed me an estimate, or told me that she had an estimate for her car for $255. She said I was going to get another estimate, and the estimate was cheaper estimate. So I said, okay.
$255
so she said,
is pretty. Listen,
okay,
I'm looking at the damage here.
Well, that's what I would have, thought.
Just a minute. So what you're telling me, what you're telling me, Miss Smith, because it's not what you put in your answer, you don't have a problem with paying for the damage because you believe your daughter did do the damage. Of
course I have a problem with
Well,
paying.
that's not, then the damage is not the issue right now.
Okay, I understand that, but...
Right now we have to, there are two stages to this process.
Yes,
First, we have to figure out who did the damage.
Mm-hmm.
And I am satisfied that she did the damage. And so are you. So are you. She knows we have a rock this size, brown in color with ragged edges that was used by somebody by the name of Justice, whose name she doesn't remember. And it's the first time since this whole thing happened that she's telling you this story, because before that she told you, I don't know anything. I was there with my friends. I didn't do anything. I mean, coming into a courtroom setting and dealing with somebody who's been around the block a couple of times, I usually get to the bottom of it. The only problem is she's not going to say to you right now, it was me. So she'll make up a story. That's why we went to the rock first. Do you understand?
I understand.
All right. Now, the issue is not what amount is going to be awarded as a result of the damage. The first issue is who did the damage. because she didn't see who did the damage. She saw a bunch of kids out there. These two girls were near her car, which is why she came to you, which is why she called the police.
Who did the damage if
she
didn't see who done it?
Just a second. Let me tell you something. She said she had seen the girls and she sent the police to your house. Even if I find that she didn't see the girls, I just got a confession from your daughter. You're not following it, but your daughter just confessed to me that the person with the brown rock with jagged edges about this size, but in somebody else's hand, did the damage to the car. And if you believe that I am going to make this award, listen to me.
My daughter.
Listen.
I believe my daughter.
Well, you do?
Yes.
Did you believe her when she told you she didn't do anything?
Well, she was with her friends.
No.
She was with her friends, and because the little girl don't have any friends,
did you believe her when she said
she has 10 or 15 friends?
Oh, college you're never going to see. Can I see the estimate, please?
Well, I won't.
No, you won't.
Could I say something, please?
You won't. A detention facility maybe you'll see, but college you won't see. Say nothing, please. There will always be bullies. There will always be people that travel in packs that do the wrong thing. Right now, that's what your girls are doing. They're being bullies, and they're bullying this young lady. They're bullying her whether they like her, whether they don't like her, whether they think she's good-looking, her mother's good-looking, her baby is good-looking. Whatever it is, they're traveling in a pack, and they're doing the wrong thing, and they are being encouraged by pack behavior and your behavior because you're not taking what they do seriously. This is unpleasant, amoral, criminal behavior. And if you don't take it seriously, I'm telling you, college, no. Detention facility, yes. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,300. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Like Judge Judy said, they roam as a pack, which is why my daughter is not out there with them.
She calls it a pack. I call it my daughter having friends.
My mother has taught me better than to do those kind of things.
They're out late. They're making noise. They're doing, things. And I don't know if it's not just those two.
No, my children are never out of the house after 8 o'clock.
They actually need to be taught to, not to damage someone's property.
It doesn't matter. My children did not do it. They're innocent.
And now the next case. Child visitation monitor Monica Konya is suing former client, esthetician Julie Hughes Heald, for stopping payment on a check after she terminated Julie's visitation with her child. Julie is countersuing, claiming Monica's actions traumatized her and her son.
Come to order, all rise. Yeah, this is case number 429 on the calendar in the matter of Konya versus Hughes Heald. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Gentlemen, have a seat, please.
You have a child.
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
How old is that child?
He's 7.
And who's the child's father? Were you married to his father?
Yes, I was.
For how long?
From June 2nd of 96 to June 2nd of 2000.
And it is my understanding that your son lives with his father.
Currently, yes, Your Honor.
And you have visitation.
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
And that visitation was ordered supervised by the court.
By the court, yes.
I assume that that was after a trial or after a hearing that the court ordered supervised visitation.
It was based on an ex parte, including my son's court-appointed attorney, in regards to that my son had told a psychologist that he was injured while he was with me, in which he was not.
Well, whatever. I'm not getting into the whys. I'm just indicating that that's what this part of this lawsuit is about, because the court ordered supervised visitation, and the court ordered you to pay the supervisor, the person who was to supervise that visitation. And the incident in question involved Ms. Konya, who was the supervisor of a visitation period that you were having with your son. And according to your complaint, Ms. Konya, you charge a fee for supervised visitation. You must be on a court list of supervisors. And on a particular day, when you were supervising the visit, you terminated the visit. It is your claim for cause because of Ms. Heald's inappropriate actions. And she stopped payment on the check that she had given you for the supervised visitation. And you want that money plus your bounce check fee.
That's correct.
The defendant says that it was you who acted inappropriately. She had a basis to stop payment on the check, and she is counterclaiming for your inappropriate behavior and the emotional distress that that caused her. Now, when did you begin to do the supervised visitation with James and his mother?
This was the first visit that I had done myself. My partner here, Alan, had done 2 visits prior.
Tell me what happened.
Prior to any visits occurring, I had done what's required by law called an orientation intake session. I had done that separately with each party. At that time, each party was advised of what the requirements and the rules were of the supervised visitation. So I have the orientation rules and guidelines contract, which was signed by the defendant. I think it was on October 3rd of 2004. And if you want to refer in specific to policies number 14, where it says disparaging remarks and intentional disrespect.
I can read.
Sorry. Sorry.
The policy says that the person who is being supervised, the adult person, shall not, either verbally or non-verbally, make any disparaging remarks against any adult party, which clearly, in plain English, says that Ms. Heald is not to make any disparaging remarks about the child's father to the child or within earshot of the child. All right, so tell me what happened on the 29th.
So anyway, so I had done the orientation. We had done 2 visits. Both the visits prior to had been done with Alan, and I had done a visit on October 29th. We agreed to meet at Balboa Park. That was the meeting place. The visit ended up moving to Seaport Village. The defendant decided to take the child to a pizza place for dinner. The child's behavior was becoming increasingly more problematic.
How?
And I noticed when we were at Balboa Park, there was like a long channel of water, kind of like a fountain, but you know, still water. And the child repeatedly put his feet into this water. I mean, it was nighttime, and she actually told him to stop, but the child didn't listen.
Okay, so he was misbehaving. He was 7 years old.
Yeah, but she...
Okay, well, let's get to the pizza parlor, because right now you haven't canceled the visit, you haven't stopped the visit, you're at the pizza parlor.
Yes. When we were in the pizza place, he had flattened himself on the floor. He was upset about not wanting... He wanted to have a particular kind of soda, and she didn't want to get it for him. At that point, I don't like to intervene in the visit.
So he threw a tantrum, and he got on the floor.
He threw a tantrum. They sat down, and I don't know, she went up to the counter for a second. He took a Beanie Baby and he threw it at her. Once again, examples of the child's behavior being out of control.
What else?
Then they sat down. She began to, this is where things started to go downhill. She began to disparage the father. She began to attribute the child's behavior.
What you're doing is editorializing. I'd like you to give me
I will tell you exactly
what
she said. Okay, I have a termination memorandum, and she began to say, the behavior that you're learning from, and I'm not going to say their names, you're learning that from them, and I won't have that. You're upset because the stepmother showed up with you today. I said, if you continue, the visit will be terminated. She just continued. She said, I would appreciate it if the stepmother wouldn't show up. It's of grave concern to me because she's not allowed to be here, is what she said.
She said to you, or she said to the child?
She directed that to me. Okay?
I assume she directed that to you, not to the child.
So after repeated attempts for me to change the subject, she didn't do it. So I terminated the visit. I got on the phone and I called the custodial parent, the father, to come pick up the child. And I asked her also to leave the restaurant, and she refused to leave. Okay? I have never had to do this before, but I ended up having to call local law enforcement, which I have the right to do by law.
Okay.
And when this was happening, she made a comment to me. She said that I'm not paying for this visit. I want my money back, is what she said.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You're telling me that in my career, which spanned 30,000 cases, that yours was unique? Perhaps that's true. I doubt it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Child Visitation Monitor Monica Konya says a former client stopped payment on her fee. Julie Hughes Heald claims Monica overstepped her bounds when she terminated her visit with her son.
Will you step up, please, sir? Tell me your name.
My name's Alan Glick.
Mr. Glick, this is your partner?
Yes.
How many supervised visits did you conduct for James and the defendant?
2.
Were they eventful or uneventful?
They were eventful for me in that I noticed I had a document above and beyond the normal form I fill out, what I observed in lack of parenting skills.
And when did you fill out those forms?
These are filled out as I'm sitting there in the visit.
May I see them, please?
Yes. These are notes I take. There's some abbreviations there I use. And this is just so whatever happens, I don't have to rely on my memory. I have the
Okay.
notes to rely on.
Okay, not so terrible. All in all, not so terrible.
Well,
Well,
nothing specific, just
yeah, nothing specific.
just
nothing
lack
specific.
of ability to set boundaries and limits.
Okay. Well, lack of ability to set controls and limits is an interesting, rather amorphous statement. You would agree with that, sir? You would agree with the fact that if a biological parent, because of their own problems, and it's clear that Miss Heald has her own problems, which is the only reason why a court sets supervised visitation for a parent. So you would agree that if you're only seeing your child for 3 hours once a week or 3 hours twice a week, you don't like to set controls, you don't like to set boundaries, you tend to let the child do whatever they want to do, which is not necessarily good parenting, but understandable within the context of a 3-hour visitation. So now I have the gist of what happened from your perspective. Now I come to you. I want to see the order of visitation and the judge's decision in order formulating that order of visitation.
Okay, Your Honor, it's right here.
And I'd like to see the report from the child's lawyer.
That's the report from the child's lawyer. He's court appointed per my request.
This isn't the order setting supervised visitation.
Actually, there's not supervised visitations anymore. The only reason why it was a supervised visitation is because my 7-year-old son said...
Listen to me. I can read. This says that the doctor recommends that if supervised visitation with the mother is to be lifted, that the visits with the mother be of short durations, 2 or 3 hours a visit. And then it goes on to say that the mother should, in addition, be engaged in supportive psychotherapy. What I want is the order where the judge ordered supervised visits, not your request for lifting it. Do you have that?
That was
in those
the order
documents?
that was given for the last current standing order.
When?
When? The most recent court date stating that there is no longer supervised visitations.
You're not following me. I mean,
I don't
is this,
have the other order.
is this a passive-aggressive discussion that we're having? In what year was supervised visitation entered?
2004, approximately in October.
So at some point there was an order that said you don't have overnights, you don't have unsupervised visits, you have supervised visits. And what you're telling me is you do not have a copy of any of the reports that were used for the judge.
That order was only based on that my son was seen by a psychologist, and he was coerced into saying that he was injured while with me, and he wasn't.
Listen to me.
So they lifted the order. That's the only reason why they had it, Your Honor.
Listen to me, madam.
Yes.
I don't believe you.
I'm sorry you don't, but I'm stating the truth.
I don't believe you. If you had the order, I would perhaps believe you.
That's the order
But if
that
what you're
Randy
telling
asked
me
me
is
to
that the
bring.
judge based their order on the statement of a child that was false.
Yes,
I don't
Your
buy
Honor.
that.
Well, it's true.
No, don't buy that. Now, Dr. That's the child's psychiatrist or psychologist?
Correct, Your Honor.
The observation of Dr. this visitation supervisor, the undersigned, and the prior psychologist who worked with the mother and the minor child routinely observed the mother's frustration with controlling and redirecting the minor child's behavior, as well as the mother's penchant for involving the child in court and adult issues. The first therapist appointed by the court to assist the mother in developing a more appropriate relationship with Jimmy and enhancing her parenting skills ultimately gave up in frustration, indicating he could not make any progress with the mother. So this is not an issue of short duration. This is a problem that's been going on for a long time, madam.
Your Honor, I originally had 93% custody of my son.
Well, something that you're doing,
Miss
Hill, something that you're doing, if you originally had 93% custody of your child, and if you don't have a mental illness, and I'm not sure whether you do or you don't. So I don't know whether you do or you don't. But if I were a parent who had 97% custody, and then it was cut down to 37% custody, and then it was cut down to visitation, and then it was cut down to supervised visitation, I would say to myself, wake up. Maybe something I'm doing is not right. Instead of saying everybody else has a problem. My son has a problem because he lies. This visitation supervisor has a problem because he lies. The child psychologist has a problem. My son's lawyer has a problem. I might say to myself, maybe my behavior is inappropriate because I started out being the custodial parent, and all of a sudden I can see my son 3 hours a week with a stranger that I have to pay. So I would say that to me would be a wake-up call.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Child Visitation Monitor Monica Konya says a former client stopped payment on her fee. Julie Hughes Heald claims Monica overstepped her bounds when she terminated her visit with her son.
Go ahead.
My concern is that the San Diego court system has put my son and I through the judicial process of I present the truth that my former husband and his current wife, who was a secretary originally, in the aspect of manipulating and controlling, and basically when she has two older teenagers, that my son was coming back with behaviors as in acting like a 17-year-old or 18-year-old that weren't well brought up. So my son was also stating comments about his dad.
You're not getting it. Madam, I sat in the family court for a quarter of a century.
I
ran the system there, and I do not remember a case where a mother had custody of a child or children, and that was reduced to supervised visitation unless there was a serious problem. And if you're telling me that in my career, which spanned 30,000 cases, that yours was unique, perhaps that's true. I doubt it. Because I'm hearing what you're saying, and what you're saying is exactly what I heard from parent after parent who said, I'm telling the truth, they're all off base. And all I'm saying to you is I'm giving you real good advice. Unless you are mentally ill, I would start examining myself, my own behavior, in order to ensure that I correct that behavior or modify it so that you can again become a meaningful part of your son's life. And stop presenting his father, who married a secretary, and stop presenting two teenage boys with whom your 7-year-old son probably has a reasonable relationship, but maybe learning things that are a little beyond his years. You better get on with it. Now, you want to tell me why you stopped payment on this check?
Yes. To be
just get to it.
To be quite honest, I have no resentment to my former husband because he was
Would you get
violent.
to it? Because I'm past all that.
I'm thankful I'm not married to him.
I'm past all that.
The stop payment on the check was based on all I wanted to do was see my son. I love my son dearly, and due to the fact that he told his psychologist, because he was coerced by my former husband and his wife.
Now listen to me. That's not my question to you, and you're still not getting it. You see, you have this fixed thing. You want somebody to hear you. I'm not hearing you. I'm not hearing you. I'm hearing that you have a problem sticking to a judicial question, which at this point is, why did you stop payment on the check?
Yes, Your Honor. I stopped payment on the check because she violated her own contract.
How? That's what I want to hear.
She violated her own contract because she allowed Jim to bring his current wife there with the baby. She showed up a half hour late to the drop-off and pickup place. In the regards to the exchange, she originally had the exchanges with Alan Glitch 2 times prior from 1 to 4 on Sundays, in which in the supervised agreement was never to be a person that's an agent of hers, which is ethically, I believe, unethical because it's her husband.
I only have one question for you, madam.
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you, in fact, say in sum and substance that kind of behavior is unacceptable to me? You may learn that at home with your father and stepmother, but that behavior is not acceptable here.
No, Your Honor, I
What
never
did you say? What did you say?
Basically, my son never threw a Beanie Baby at me.
I didn't ask you that. I said, what did you say to him?
About the behavior? I said, I have a Gatorade. When we went to the...
What did you say to him?
When he wanted a soda, I stated, you know, Jimmy, I have Gatorade for you. I was handling it appropriately. Monica started freaking out, saying that, you know, his dad said he couldn't have a soda. She started saying she was canceling the visitation, that
So
I
what
wasn't
you're
his parent or
So,
mother, so
just
she
a
was saying
second.
despairing remarks about me.
So what you're saying is you never said anything about
I never said anything despairing. I'm not a rude person.
Well, that's been a long-term problem, madam.
Well, that's my
according
concern.
to this. That's according to this that you gave me. It's been a long-term problem. What you're saying is that you never said anything to James about his father and or his stepmother. Nothing during the visit. Is that what you're saying?
No, I did not.
I don't believe you.
I was just wanting to see my son and spend time with him
you.
due to the circumstances.
I don't believe you. I don't think
Monica stated I wasn't my son's mother. She called the police. I said I had to call my son's court-appointed attorney to find out that I'd only met this lady once based on a list. And she's demanding that I leave and abandon my son in a restaurant, screaming out that I'm not his mother.
Madam! You're not abandoning him. You're leaving him with somebody that the court has indicated is an appropriate supervisor. You can't cancel her check.
In which
you can't cancel her check.
She was screaming at me.
You cannot cancel her check. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $130, which is the amount of the check plus the canceled check fee. And you have a counterclaim for $2,500. That counterclaim is dismissed. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Customer service rep Cindy Blankenship is suing her ex-boyfriend, contractor Robert DiFrancesco, for rent and for trying to strangle her. Cindy claims the assault took place at the end of their month-long drug binge.
This is case number 374 on the calendar in the matter of Blankenship versus DiFrancesco. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Ms. Blankenship, according to what I read, you and the defendant met at a bar, and he came home with you the same evening and stayed for a while. And according to your complaint, you had an agreement with him that he was going to pay you rent.
Yes, Your Honor.
And he stayed with you, I don't know, 3-4 weeks. He didn't pay any rent. And then you got into some sort of an altercation with him and claimed that he assaulted you.
Yes.
Mr. DiFrancesco says there was never an agreement to pay you rent, that he spent 5 months in jail because you made false charges of assault against him. He was ultimately released, and you want a certain amount of money for rent and $1,500 for this alleged assault.
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
Okay. On what day did you meet Mr. DiFrancesco?
It was the beginning of May.
In the evening?
Yes.
And you met him for the first time?
Yes, I did.
And he came home with you?
Yeah, we ended up going to my house. We were going to have a drink at my house. 3 days later, he's still at my home.
Okay, 3 days later, did you say? Well, 3 days later, I assume you let him stay. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, tell me about this agreement that you allege about rent.
Well, as I said, 3 days later, he's still at my house. He informed me that he didn't have any place to go. He had just gotten out of jail, which I wish I had known that, or else if I had, I wouldn't have let him come to my home. Told me he had nowhere to go, and we had both decided, let's try a fast, instant relationship, see what happens. Told him he wasn't going to live with me for nothing. He said he was a hard worker. He had no problem paying me $125 a week. The 30 days that he was with me, he worked maybe 2 days. All of his money went on cocaine. So that's what basically he felt that he was going to be doing at my house. And towards the end of it, I said I had enough.
Now, towards the end of it, I had enough is what I want to hear about, the night of this alleged assault. I'd like you to tell me in your own words what happened, Miss Blankenship.
We had been drinking at my house that day.
You do a lot of drinking?
Yeah, we had been out.
And he does a lot of drinking?
Yeah.
Do you also do drugs, or you just drink?
I didn't skip back into drugs until I hooked up with Bobby.
So then the answer is for the 30 days that you were together in your house, you were both drinking and doing drugs?
Yes.
And I assume he was purchasing the drugs?
No, I was. He didn't have any money.
Okay, so you were purchasing the drugs and giving it to him?
Basically, we were doing them together.
No. If you bought them and gave them to him. Is that what you're telling me? Oh. So tell me about the last night that you were together, the night of this alleged assault.
We had been out at one of the local bars drinking. We got I believe it was a 12-pack, went back to my house. When that was all done, we went back out drinking. I suggested that we get something to eat. I was going to get Chinese food. He said, fine, went home. I was getting the food ready, putting it on plates and everything. I turned around. Bobby's leaning up against the counter with his pants down to the floor, offering me something other to eat than the Chinese food.
And?
I was quite appalled by this whole thought at the moment. I went into the living room. I sat down. I figured I'd try and calm down for a few minutes. I went into the kitchen. He's now eating the Chinese food.
By this time, he's dressed himself?
Yeah.
And he's eating the Chinese food?
Yes.
And what happened?
I asked him if he wanted some rice with the food, and I threw a box of beef fried rice at him.
So you assaulted him with the rice?
No, I threw the rice at the floor.
No, your hand motion was...
Well, I threw the rice, but it wasn't at him physically, it was at the floor.
Well, that's not what you say in your complaint, by the way. You say that you started to throw the Chinese food at him?
In his direction.
In his direction. Okay. And what happened after you were throwing the Chinese food in his direction?
Well, I ended up asking him if he needed some sweet sauce with it. After that, we ended up getting into an argument. It boiled down to I was sitting at a chair at the kitchen table trying to figure out what we were going to do with this relationship. We got into an argument. He lunged over the kitchen table, grabbed me by the throat, and started to strangle me.
Miss Blankenship, you left something out, madam, that you put in your complaint. And that was that there was a time that Mr. DeFrancesco just said, I want to get out of here. And that was before you started with the food fight. He tried to go to the door to leave and get his clothes and leave. And you say in your complaint that you prevented him from leaving.
I, for whatever stupid reasons, didn't want him to take his clothes at the time. I felt that he owed me money for being there, and I figured that we'd straighten it out at some other time.
So you blocked the door?
I blocked the door.
And it was after you blocked the door that he lunged at you?
Shortly after that.
Now, you called the police and had him arrested.
When I could get to a phone, I called the police. He ripped the phones out of the wall.
Now, when did you finally get to the police?
After I got his hands off my throat.
Okay. So he took his hands off your throat, you called the police, and I assume you let him leave at that point.
I didn't let him leave. He went running out the door. This is after he pulled the alarm system out of the wall. I tried calling 911 from 2 telephones. He kept pulling the phones out of my hand, pressing the off
At
button.
that point, I assume, Miss Blankenship, that you were ready to let him leave.
Yeah.
Now, what hospital did you go to?
I didn't.
So if you didn't go to a hospital, I assume you weren't injured.
I was injured, but there wasn't anything that I felt that they could do to me that was going to make the marks go away.
How were you injured?
By him strangling me. I had marks on my arm, on my face.
Did you take any photographs
I have
of
the
it?
police report and pictures.
I'd like to see.
Plus, I didn't go right to the hospital, or I didn't go to the hospital because the police wanted me to go to the police station. I was down there for about 3-4 hours.
I noticed that in your statement to the police, you didn't tell the police that Mr. DeFrancesco wanted to leave, or that the mess that they observed in the kitchen of the Chinese food all over the place was the result of you throwing it all over the place. How come you didn't tell them that?
Oh, I don't recall whether I did or didn't.
You didn't. Trust me, you didn't.
Well, regardless of that, he has no right to try to strangle me.
You had no right to try to keep him in the house.
Oh, I didn't physically block his entrance from leaving.
That's what you said.
Door was right there.
That's exactly what you said.
I stopped him from getting his clothing, not from walking out the door.
No, that's not what you said, madam. You said, when I returned, I was still so angry that I started to throw food at him. He was going to get his stuff and leave, but I was too angry to let him leave with his clothes. I blocked the door.
I blocked the door from him getting his clothes in the bedroom.
So why didn't you let him get his clothes? You were both too drunk.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your Honor, she assaulted me on other occasions, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. I don't hit women.
Mr. DeFrancesco, how come you spent 5 months in jail?
I was on probation, but I was charged with assault with intent to murder, and intimidating a witness.
And later today...
I was trying to do her a favor. That's it.
You did do her a favor?
Yeah.
Then what are you bothering me for?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Cindy Blankenship says ex-boyfriend Robert DeFrancesco owes for strangling her. Robert says Cindy threw Chinese food at him.
Madam, you'd been drinking, according to you, for days. Drinking and doing drugs for days. All right, I'm prepared to hear you, Mr. DeFrancesco.
Your Honor, I first met Cindy. She's right, I did
I
get out
heard
of jail.
that how you met her. You met her at a bar. You went home with her and you stayed too long.
No, I went home with her, and that night I left. At 5 in the morning, some other gentleman called, and I had to leave, and she brought me to my brother's house. And then the next day, I went to see her. We did some gardening work, whatever. And
Would you look at me instead of looking over there?
Oh, I'm sorry. Off and on, we stayed together for about 3 weeks. I'd see her for a few days. It would be okay. Then she'd start yelling at me for stupid little things, and it would get all crazy. And I'd say, you know, I'm going to leave. So one time she called the police, and I'd already left. But
he was trying to run my household.
Could you look at me when you're speaking, sir?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Your Honor. When the cops came, they just came because she just wanted me to leave, and I'd already left. So I told her, I said, you know, I'm on probation and stuff like that. I can't have any problems with the police, so I don't think this is going to work out. So to make a long story short, we'd gone back and forth. You're
still looking over there.
Back and forth, and Then another time, the police came to get me. You know, the same thing. I just left. I had my bag of clothes. It was raining out. I left.
You shouldn't be drinking with her, sir. I mean, but the problem is you're two drunks living together.
Well, Your Honor, the day in question of the day that I got arrested, I was working all day. I was working all day. She was at the bar. She was supposed to be going to get her motorcycle license or whatever, but it got done early. She came home. So then I got upset with her. I'd already told her a few times, you know, if this continues, we're not going to stay together. I can't handle this. You're too abusive.
She assaulted
me. Your Honor, she assaulted me on other occasions, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. I don't hit women. You know, she was hitting me.
Mr. DeFrancesco, how come you spent 5 months in jail? Were you on probation or parole?
I was on probation, but I was charged with assault with intent to murder, and intimidating a witness.
Okay.
That's what I was charged with.
Okay. And those charges were ultimately tossed.
They were dropped because she pled the fifth, because she didn't want to perjure herself.
Well, for whatever reason, they should have been dropped a long time ago. What had you just been released from jail for?
Assault and battery, malicious damage. I got into a big fight at a bar. I did like 2 years.
Mr. DeFrancesco, may I suggest to you, sir, that you are not a good drunk? Do you understand? You're not a good drunk. And if you're going to continue to drink, I wouldn't take up with somebody who is also a bad drunk. Do you understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
All
That's
right. How old are you, sir?
I'm 42 years old.
You look every day of it, Mr. DeFrancesco. You're getting old before your time, sir.
Well, Your Honor, I did try to leave. That's why, that's why I feel it's bogus.
Mr. Blankenship, you don't have a case. He didn't try to murder you. You were two drunks.
If he didn't try to murder me,
Listen
Your Honor, why did they charge him with attempted murder from the marks all over me?
Listen,
why did I call 911?
I'm telling you why you called 911, because he finally got fed up with you, and he probably did try to choke you. That's why. That's not attempted murder, just like you throwing Chinese food at him is not assault. You want to drink and do drugs with somebody who also drinks and does drugs? That's what happens. What are you bothering me for? Goodbye.
Buddies, I excuse you, may step out.
I tried to get out of the relationship, and it just ended up being violent.
It's obviously started a different way from him dropping his drawers to the floor and so on, making any type of sexual advances that he wanted to happen. So, I mean, it's insane.
Those are personal issues. That's stuff that normal people do, It's just that it just got carried away.
Him and I being together, drinking, not knowing what kind of relationship we were going to get into. So I wish it had never started from the beginning.
Of course, if you drink and drug, it's going to cause problems, but what she stated, that just shows that's one of her traits, you know what I mean? She just talks crazy.
And now the next case. Small business owner Regina Shields is suing her ex-boyfriend, auto detailer Byron Germany, for kicking in her front door and assaulting her. Byron says Regina tried to lock him out of his own home.
Quiet in the courtroom. Yeah, this is case number 451 on the calendar in the matter of Shields versus Germany. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have a seat, please.
Miss Shields, you and the defendant were boyfriend and girlfriend, and you lived together for how long?
We never actually lived together. We were just boyfriend and girlfriend.
Did you live together?
When we dated, we stayed together. As far as I was concerned, we was together and staying together.
According to your complaint, last summer you were living together.
We didn't actually live together. He has his own residence and I have my residence, but we were a couple.
Well, it's interesting. You said that he came home last summer, I think sometime in July. He came home in the morning because he had been out all night and you refused to let him in the house.
Okay.
Is that what you told me? Let me see.
I can explain.
I'm getting older. Maybe I misread what you said. You said on July 1st, 2004, Byron, that would be you.
Yes, ma'am.
Came home after being out all night. He didn't have the key to get into the house and started banging in the door. I refused to allow him back into the home since he refused to stop continually disrespecting our relationship. Well, that sounds to me like he was coming home.
Actually, he had already been told not to come back around. We had already had a falling out and breaking up. I asked him not to return anymore. I told him that, I didn't want to be bothered because of the things he had been doing in the relationship as far as, staying out, other women, different things of that nature. And so I had already called it quits.
So that's in July. And you say that when he came home in July, he assaulted you. So tell me what happened.
He arrived at the house. It was early morning. Him and his friend had pulled up from somewhere. And he was knocking on the door, sitting through the door, opened the door, that he wanted to talk. And I explained to him that, there was no need for him to be there because I wasn't going to open the door and I wasn't going to talk to him. So he needed to leave. He got irate, and started, you know, pushing on the screen door, you know, yanking at things, just out of control. And so, you know, I continued to let him know that the door wasn't coming open. He needed to leave or I was going to call the police. So he ran around to the side of the house and he got the garage door open. He kicked it in. He came into the garage. It's another door that allows you to come into the house. He must have got a hold of something in the garage and pried.
Whatever, he got into the house.
No, he didn't get into the house that way.
Did he get into the house some way? I want him in the house
Yes, ma'am,
already.
he came.
You know, I have other things to do
Okay,
today.
I'm sorry. He came around the front and he yanked the screen door open. He kicked the front door and he came in and he assaulted me.
Well, tell me what happened when he kicked the door in.
When he kicked the door in, he started grabbing at me and started fighting me, and he punched me in my mouth.
He hit you in the face?
Yes, ma'am, he did.
And then what happened?
I had already called the police, was bleeding. Police got there. He told the story that I hit him with a glass. So therefore, they said that, you know, if it's a dispute between both of you guys are saying that you each assaulted each other so you both could go to jail. I wasn't really prepared to go to jail. I mean, I wanted him to leave. And at that time, I just asked them to make him leave. And they did. My mother was going to escort me to the hospital up the street, and they made sure that the situation was calm down.
So you went to the hospital. What happened at the hospital?
Went to the hospital, was there for a little bit. They got me back and started to, you know, stitch up my lip and everything.
How many stitches did you have?
I
in
got
your
6
lip?
stitches.
You have a bill from the hospital?
Yes.
I'd like to see it.
Let me just give her doctor bills and everything.
Now, after that date on July 1st, when was the next time you saw Byron?
Well, he continued to, you know, come around and continued to knock on the door and make little threats and different things like that. But the next actual event where I did actually have to file charges again was January the 4th this year.
And what happened?
I do have videotape. He came over again, banging, ranting and raving. He kicked the front door in that time, which I have videotape of that. And he left. I called the police, made another...
He's not the father of that baby, is he?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, it's not like...
This is just videotape of today, January 4th, 2005, where he's been kicking at my door. Just continuing to destroy the door that he's already destroyed numerous times. Byron, Germany. Black, 38, about 180-some pounds. So he drove off, just kicked the door, just kicked it all apart. And he kicked my window, trying to kick my window out, but he kicked the screen, broke the screen door. He couldn't get in the door, he just tried to kick, he just keep destroying the property. Just keep destroying it.
When was the last time you had sexual relations with the defendant?
Not since the first incident. We haven't really been communicating.
You mean not since July 1st?
Mm-hmm.
Now, you told me before you started that you had already told him not to come around. Was that before or after you became pregnant?
I guess it was around about that time. It was all pretty close together, you know. Things are just spinning out of hand at that time.
Yeah, and I was there the day before that.
Oh, yeah, I know you were. And then you took off and you stayed out all night.
Well, we went to the casino.
So?
When we go to the casino, your phone doesn't work in there. And apparently, I guess she was trying to call me and she didn't get through.
Well, when did you tell her that?
Upset.
Shh, listen to me.
In the casino, 24 hours.
Am I speaking to you? When did you tell your girlfriend that you were going to be out all night and you wouldn't be coming home?
I didn't think I had to report to her. She knew I was with him and we were going to go do a couple things.
You picked him, my friend.
Yeah.
That same thing I tell him? Oh.
And it's a pattern.
Just a second. Do you and I have to have a...
Okay,
Bird,
okay.
ask him to come up here, would you, please?
Step up.
Right here. I run this show. Do you understand? You don't speak until I speak to you. If I ask to speak to you, you'll stand up there, you'll tell me your name, you'll answer questions that I ask you. Other than that, I don't want to hear from you. We understand each other?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Perfect.
Yana, when she goes places, she don't call me and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. I mean, she does it, and when she gets back...
Well, let me ask you this question, Sir Lancelot. How would you feel if she went out with her friends or with whomever and stayed out until 8 o'clock in the morning, didn't call you, and you were home all night waiting for her to come home?
I didn't stay out to 8 o'clock.
I'm asking you a question. This is my story. I'm allowed to make up the facts in my story. How would you feel if your girlfriend, who you were expecting to come home, stayed out all night and traipsed in at 8, 9 o'clock in the morning? How would you feel?
I mean, I'd probably be a little upset, but I mean...
Ooh! You'd probably be a little upset, Byron.
I wouldn't double lock the doors and block your phone numbers out from the phone so you can't call or get in.
Well, that should have told you something, my dear. She didn't want to hear from you. She didn't want to see you. She was really annoyed.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Your friend says, what am I going to be friendly with him for? He's an idiot.
Right.
See? You knew you'd come in handy.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Regina Shields says ex-boyfriend Byron Germany kicked in her front door and split her lip. Byron claims Regina injured herself when she swung a cup at him.
Byron, you can't give her a fat lip, my dear.
I didn't hit her on the lip. She hit me with the cup, and then on a moment...
Where did she hit you with a cup?
On my elbow.
What bone did she break?
She didn't break no, she swole my elbow out to there. Oh. But when, the police took forever getting there, but when the police did come there, I told them I wasn't trying to press no charges.
Well, how did her lip get split?
Well, her lip got split when she was swinging the cup. She hit her own self with the cup. And I was pushing her back, and I think when I hit her hand, it hit back and hit her lip. I know it sounds wild, but that's what happened.
It's possible. And it all wouldn't have happened if you hadn't kicked in the door.
I didn't kick in the door, I pushed it open.
Pushed it in, kicked it, shh. Pushed it, kicked it. It all wouldn't have happened if you just went home, let her cool off, go back to the casino, lose another couple of bucks. You could have done a whole bunch of things instead of pushing in the door.
Well, when she gets angry like that, she stay like that for some days.
Then what you do is you stay away for a few days.
But I had something in the house I needed to get. And I was
what?
I had some money in there. I wanted to get my money, and then I was going to go and let her do her routine where she'd be hot for a week or two.
Now, what about this video that I just saw of you driving back and forth and then leaving the house?
I wasn't driving back and forth. I was backing out.
Okay, you were backing out. Why were you there?
It's my house. It's my place.
How long has it been since you lived there?
I mean,
Byron! How long has it been since you lived there?
I'm with her 24/7 there. I'm just off and on.
I'm talking about January.
That was, I think that was July. On the video. What's the date on that?
January 4th.
Oh yeah, I remember now. Yeah, 'cause I was back. I forgot. So many incidents. You don't understand, There's so many incidents I can't remember.
What were you doing there?
I think that day, I think I didn't answer my phone. I remember right. And I was trying to call, and she put me on the block and other stuff. And then when you pull up to the door, we got a little surveillance, and she likes to talk through the camera to you, and it irritates you because you're standing there and can't get in your own place.
I got a restraining order.
I see it.
Yeah. Here's the protection order. That was for what I had to file on the 4th of January, and I actually did have them charge him for kicking the door down that time.
That restraining order is dismissed.
That was from the first incident.
This one is dated the 4th of January, 2005. It was filed.
What, is that the restraining order?
That's the complaint.
The complaint, yeah.
Mm-hmm. She doesn't want you around anymore, Byron.
I mean, I don't have no problem with it. Like I said, my lease is up.
When was the last time you lived there?
It's been before the first incident.
Before July?
Yes.
Okay, and he hasn't been living there since July?
Yeah, I've been there off and on. I've been there.
What do you mean off and on? You've been there?
I'll come and she'll get mad and I'll go. I mean, I don't have no problem.
Byron, really, unless you want to spend a lot of time in jail, you should stay away from her.
I'm not trying to spend no time in jail.
What I'm telling you is I'm giving you the best possible advice, Byron. If you don't want to spend a lot of time in jail, you're going to stay away from her, because once you've had a history of domestic violence, eventually a judge is going to get fed up with you and say, Byron, you don't seem to get it. And maybe you'll get it if you do 60 days.
But I've never been charged with, I've never been charged, but everything's been dismissed.
What I'm telling you, Byron, is she doesn't want to see you anymore.
Then she should stop calling me and telling me, what are you doing? You ain't coming by here.
You have proof that she does that?
You're going to ask her, but I know she's not going to tell you the truth.
Right.
She just gets in those moods. Like I said, if I stay out all night, or if I don't answer my phone, or if she thinks she hears women in the background, she's going to go off and she's going to do what she does now. And that's the only reason why the doors end up like that. But for that fat lip, I never put my hands on her. She did it with herself
No,
with
you
the
did.
cup.
You did. You put your hands on her. I'm not saying that you hit her. I'm not saying that with all the scuffling, that maybe the cup hit her lip. That's possible. But for the fact that you kicked in the door or pushed in the door, it wouldn't have happened.
I understand that. One time before, she's got that little bump right there. She had a hammer, hit me with a hammer, swinging a hammer at me. And when I pushed her back, she bumped her head with the hammer.
He's extremely violent. Extremely violent.
Oh, she's extremely
just
violent.
a second. You have a bad temper?
I can.
Yeah, I know. And I know that you do. And I know that when he pushed his way into your house that day, things got hot and heavy, right?
Really, I'm scared of him.
Now, listen to me. Things got hot and heavy. Is that right?
He's already heated, but I wouldn't hit him because I know he'll hit me back.
Mm-mm.
I know he'll hit me back.
Yeah, I've been hit with bricks, 2x4s.
Well, then you're an idiot.
Cell phone.
Then listen to me. Then you're an idiot. If you've been hit with bricks and hammers and glasses and cups and you keep going back, then something's not right. Then your friend says, what am I going to be friendly with him for? He's an idiot, right?
Right.
See? You knew you'd come in handy.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Regina Shields claims ex-boyfriend Byron Germany kicked in her front door and assaulted her.
Your Honor, can we put him over there with her? She's gonna say I'm an idiot.
Well, don't you think you're an idiot? Listen, if you get hit with bricks and hammers and cups and she's vicious and you keep going back.
Your Honor, it's not like she...
Shh. Does that make you smart?
No, don't make you smart, but she's not beating me, literally beating me, but I'm saying she will hit you with something.
Protecting her.
She'll break a curtain rod up and hit you.
If he got... Just wait a second. So now I've got Byron. I've got curtain rods, bricks.
It gets worse, sir.
Hammers.
2x4s.
2x4s.
And cell phones.
Cups. Cell phones.
Yeah, cell phones. House phones. We had to replace the house phone 3 times because she wants to beat you with them.
Byron, you're right. Go over on that side.
Nah, I'm just saying. I mean, I be trying to give him advice too, like he just need to leave her alone. You know?
See? Wisdom.
Yeah. Your Honor, you know, she's complaining about the doors. I mean, I have damages too. She tore up cars. She done kicked doors, and I got a Hummer. She beat it with an iron, like you iron. I was going to pull out the driveway, then bam.
Ask him why he stays.
If I ask him why he stays, we may turn into an R-rated program. Why do you stay, Byron?
I mean, I love her to death. She's a good girl when she want to be, but what I'm trying to say to you, I mean, she does things too. I mean, I bought a car and I only had it 3 days, and I got my cousin. I know it sounds strange. My cousin hit me on the expressway, knocked me to the guardrail. I only had the car 3 days, and she said, "That's what you get for not giving me no money." I mean, that's not right. She was in the car with me. We both could have ended up seriously hurt.
He's trying to say I'm money hungry. That's what he's trying to say.
Well, maybe you are and maybe you're not. Anyway, Byron, I don't know whether she loves you or not, but all I can tell you is if you don't stay away from her, there's going to be a problem. And you're going to have this baby, and then there are going to be a whole host of other problems. Do you understand? Because you're going to want to see this baby, you're going to want to visit with this baby, and unless you learn to control yourself, and she learns to control herself, because my sense is that she knows how to get your goat. But you can't touch her.
No, she kicked his car before. He just
what?
bought a car.
Listen to me. I believe she's got a bad temper.
Can I say something, Judge Judy, please?
Sure.
I know when a bad situation is getting ready to get out of hand, the only thing I ask of him is just leave. When I get angry, I can easily go and do things like that to his property when he does to where I live, but I don't do that. I just ask that he leave, and if he doesn't leave, I call the police.
Listen to me. I know you sound as if butter would melt in your mouth. What he's saying is that when you're not here in a courtroom situation, you can have a really hot, volatile temper. That's what he's saying. And I have a tendency to believe him because I think that he doesn't do the right thing, but I don't think he's full of baloney. And I think you are a little bit. I'm not saying he does the right thing. He doesn't do the right thing. Staying out all night, not the right thing. Not keeping in touch with you, not the right thing. If he's fooling around, not the right thing. But you know how to get to him so that when you bring the decibel level up to a certain point and then you say, now you have to go home, Byron. Well, you've already got him all worked up. Her lip got split, and her lip wouldn't have gotten split if you hadn't punched in the door. So you're going to pay for all those medical bills, which come to about which come to about $630. Better find somebody to fix your door for about $500.
Yana, I didn't hit her in the lip. I shouldn't have to pay.
I don't care whether you hit her in the lip or not, but for the fact that you pushed in the door, there wouldn't have been a scuffle and her lip wouldn't have gotten busted.
All she had to do was answer the door. He could tell you. He was right
Just
there.
a second. She didn't want to answer the door. She doesn't have to answer the door. There is nothing written in the Constitution, Byron, that provides that she has to answer the door because you knock on it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,130. I suggest you stay far away from each other unless it's pursuant to a court order of visitation for this new blessed event that's coming next month. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Student Jill Waters is suing her ex-husband, landscaper Richard Boris, for the cost to fix up their son's classic Ford Falcon.
Yeah, this is case number 438 on the calendar in the matter of Water versus Boris. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, please.
Mrs. Water, the defendant is your former husband, and you have 2 children together.
We have 4.
I only knew of 2 boys. You have
2 boys and 2 girls.
In any event, one of your boys was in need of a car. So you called your ex-husband because you knew that he had a car that was not running, an old car, 40 years old, a classic car, and you made the following agreement with him, according to your complaint, that you would invest your money in getting the car up and running if he would give the car to your son. What's your son's name?
Luke.
And Mr. Boris said, okay, go get it. It's laying over in my father's property because it's not running. So far, correct?
I went down and prepped the car. We pulled it out and cleaned it up. My son.
But it wasn't running.
It wasn't running.
And you took the car, and over the course of the next several months, you put the car in running order and invested, according to you, almost $4,000 in the car. And at some point, there came a problem because you couldn't title the car and get the insurance on the car and turn it over to Luke because there was some problem with Mr. Boris.
Yes.
And you ended up buying your son another car.
Right.
And now you're suing him for the money you invested in his car.
Yes.
So I'm going to turn to you, Mr. Boris, and ask you some questions, sir.
Sure.
First, tell me what year car this was.
1964 Falcon.
And how long have you had it?
30 years.
And according to your answer, it had been your intention always to give the car to one of your sons.
Correct.
So it's clear that you and your former wife had this agreement that she was going to fix the car and you were going to give the car to Luke.
Right.
And she did fix the car and invest thousands of dollars in it.
No, she said she had it fixed, but it still didn't run right. After spending that amount of money, it didn't run right. She
spent thousands of dollars on the car.
Correct.
How many thousands of dollars do you have documented that you spent on the car?
$5,293.
So what happened, Mr. Boris?
When they picked the car up, I only saw it one time after they picked the car up, and I had asked on several occasions to be included in the repair of the car because that was our dream. That didn't happen. Her new live-in boyfriend did the repairs on the car with my son, which upset him greatly because that was our thing, always.
And Mr. Boris, if that was going to be your thing, then why didn't you say, listen, if you pay for the parts, we'll leave it at my father's house, and I'll work with Luke on it, you know, whenever I can. Why did you, according to you, put it in shape so that they could move it?
She made the offer of, if I give the car to Luke, that she would pay for the repairs.
Right. Well, that's what I said.
She didn't want to include me in that, though. She said she would, but once they got the car, I never saw it after that. They took it somewhere else to a friend of his who builds race cars, and she wouldn't tell me where it was. I had asked several occasions.
How did you ask?
I'd like to go see the car. I'd like to see where it is, the progress of the car.
And what did she say to you?
No, it's being worked on.
Well, that's not a nice thing to do. Why did you do that?
Well, I don't recall ever saying that. The car was at the mechanic's house for a month while he was rebuilding the engine and doing major work to it, and then we brought it home, and it was parked in front of the house until the police came by and told me that the registration was not valid, even though I had plates and tags. So we had to move it off the street. So we did park it at a friend's house who has some property.
Well, what do you need to get the car in a state where it can be registered and have proper tags?
Just a signed statement from him stating that he has given the car to my son, but he refuses to do that.
I have a thing from the DMV. My son has the proper paperwork. The reason that the DMV kicked it back out was because she tried to add her name to it. Her name
How old is Luke?
16.
He can't register the car himself.
He can become the legal owner, though.
No, he can't. He can't. She needs an insurable interest in the car in order to get insurance on it. Anybody who wants to insure a car has to have an insurable interest in that car. Otherwise, you could take out insurance on my life, for instance, and then I wouldn't feel safe. Do you understand? So your 16-year-old son cannot own this property alone. He has to own it with a parent, with an adult, or with his guardian.
More than willing to be a co-owner with him.
Well, that wasn't your agreement.
And the agreement wasn't to make her the owner either.
No, she's not supposed to be the owner. But if she...
There on the paperwork, it's trying to show that she's trying to put her name on the title.
With Luke?
Mm-hmm.
Well, so what's wrong with that? She's just paid $5,000 to fix it.
Because my son told me once she takes ownership, because she bought him a new car. She went and spent thousands of dollars more for a new car rather than to continue to invest in fixing that car. And my son has told me that once she becomes the owner, she's going to sell it. And that was never the intent.
Miss Water, is it your testimony today that if you are successful, that it is your intention to give this car to your son, or is it your intention to sell it?
My intent was to get the car running for my son. I tried to do something nice because I knew he wanted to give the car to one of his sons. So I said, you give him the car, I will pay to have it up and running. He failed to follow through on his part.
No, madam.
He refused to sign a bill of sale.
He did not want to sign a bill of sale to you and Luke. He says, I don't have a problem with signing a bill of sale over to myself and Luke, but not
after
to...
I invested the money.
What?
It could be in my son's name, but as you state, it cannot only be in his name.
Correct. And he said, I'm not making my former wife a gift. I'm making a gift to my son. So he has no objection to giving you a bill of sale so that you can act as emissary to have the car registered and insured, correct?
Yes.
That's not unreasonable. That was your agreement. Your agreement wasn't that he was going to reimburse you.
I have a younger son whom also I had planned on once he reaches the age to pass that car on to him.
Listen, you can only pass the car to one child. You made an agreement with your former wife. Your agreement was that she would fix the car. She would pay to fix the car, and the car would be Luke's.
Right. And
it is only by virtue of the fact that the law proscribes a 16-year-old from owning a vehicle because he can't insure the vehicle that I come up with this solution for you, sir. And she is the guardian and custodian of your 16-year-old son, so you cannot sell this car without her permission. Are you following what I'm saying?
Yes, I would turn the car after Luke is 18.
No.
It's a family heirloom. It's something I want to keep in the family.
Mr. Boris, listen to me very carefully, sir. You made an agreement with your former wife.
And Luke.
And Luke. And you will, and I will issue an order, that you will do a bill of sale to your son and you as co-owners of this car. And you will deliver that bill of sale to your former wife, giving her the ability, because that was your agreement, to register the car and insure it. If Luke chooses to drive it, that's fine. If he wishes to insure it, that's fine. If she wishes to keep that car on her property for the next 2 years until Luke is ready to take it himself, and I assume, sir, that you want to maintain good relations with your son when he's 18, I assume you're going to sign the car over to him.
Correct.
Right?
Right.
Perfect. That's the solution. So within 5 days from today, you will deliver that statement to your wife, along with the agreement that when Luke turns 18, he will become the sole owner of the car. Is that reasonable?
That's reasonable.
Understand? Good, thank you, that's all.
Parties are excused, you may step out.
I'm very frustrated. I put a lot of money into that car, and I wasn't able to get it registered so my son could use it, and he needed another car, so I have spent more money than I needed to.
She let her new live-in boyfriend do the work on the car with my son.
They're just allegations. I gave him plenty of opportunity. The only thing is he wanted me to fund his time with his son.
It had been something that my son and I had always planned on doing together, not some guy that she has living in the house.
He makes everything difficult.
It's been this way for years.
I just hope we can put it behind us.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Eden versus Neely. Step forward, please.
18-year-old student Desiree Eden is suing her father's girlfriend, EMT tech Susan Neely, for the return of payments on a Dodge Neon she repossessed. Susan is countersuing for the vehicle's unpaid balance and insurance payments.
Who are you?
I'm the dad.
Why don't you stand up, sir? Okay. Miss Eden, while this gentleman, who's your father, is not a defendant, I'm going to have him stand here because I think it's important. Miss Neely is your father's girlfriend. They live together, is that right?
Yes.
According to what I read, a couple of years ago, you needed a car. You were living with your father and his girlfriend. And Miss Neely agreed to buy a car. You were underage, so it was in her name. And tell me what the agreement was.
The agreement was that I paid the car payments on the car as it came. I paid the $1,000 down plus the car payments on it.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
From when to when?
From November 2003 to December, or November 26th of 2004.
And you made the payments every month?
Yes.
Who paid the insurance?
I paid it when she asked for it.
The agreement was that you would make the monthly payments?
Correct. Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Neely, is it correct that Miss Eden made the monthly payments on the car from November of 2003 to November of 2004?
Her last payment was on November the 12th.
So the answer would be yes?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what happened in November of 2004?
Okay, the day after Thanksgiving, she decided that she was going to move out and move in with her boyfriend. And I told her she could not take the car because that car was in my name. It was titled in my name. And I would not let her have it because if something should happen and they go out and have a wreck and kill somebody, it comes back on me. So I told her she had to leave the car with me, and if she came with the balance owed against the car, then I would sign it over to her.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Just a second.
She did not come up with the $2,201.93 that was owed against the car, so I would not allow her to have it.
Well, wasn't your agreement. Miss Neely, that wasn't your agreement.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It's really dumb to hitch your wagon to a star when you're 18 years old, especially when the star isn't such a star.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 18-year-old Desiree Eden says her father's girlfriend, Susan Neely, illegally repossessed her car. Susan says she took the car away when Desiree moved in with her boyfriend.
When did you turn 18?
May 23rd.
Of 2004?
Of 2004.
Once she turned 18 and continued to make the payments, and you continued to accept the payments, that contract that you had with her, that verbal contract, was ratified, which meant it became a contract. That contract's terms were very simple. You make the payments until the car is paid off, I'll sign the title over to you. That was your contract.
But she's no longer making payments.
She stopped making payments because you wouldn't let her take the car.
Correct.
What we're talking about is an anticipatory breach, which is you said to yourself, I'm not so sure whether she's going to continue to make the payments on the car if she's not here and living with the boyfriend, so I'm not going to let her have the car. That's what you really said.
Well, our insurance company told us that.
Hey, don't tell me what your insurance company told you. The insurance company cannot interpret a contract that you had with her.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Also, when it was told to her when we decided to get the car for her, it was also told that she would stay in school, and it depended on her grades. That way we could also use the car. If she started slipping a little bit, we could take the car away from her.
She hadn't slipped? Sir, she just decided to move out and move in with her boyfriend.
Exactly. But after that, is when she lost her job. She quit school.
I did not.
But just a
Your
second,
Honor.
just a second. Mr. Eden, at the time she left, she was making the payments,
Yes.
she was in school,
Yep.
and she had a job.
Yes.
You can't anticipate what's going to happen afterwards. Where's the car now?
It is at my house.
They have it for sale for $2,500.
Car is hers.
Okay, who pays the rest of the...
She does.
Okay. Does she pay that to us or to the car dealership, or...
Are you working?
No, ma'am.
Well, how are you going to make the payments on the car?
Well, I just moved back into my mom's here recently. I have to get another job.
Where's the boyfriend?
Right here.
How come you moved out of his house?
We both moved into my mom's house. We were having too much problems in Monette where we were living with him. He had assaulted me shortly after I moved out.
Who did?
My father. I had to get a restraining order against him on December 8th. He assaulted me on December 7th.
About what?
About he was mad that I moved out and I was living with him.
Does he work?
Yes, he does.
What does he do?
He is
Don't
in
look down.
factory.
What?
Factory.
And what about you?
I'm in school, high school.
How do you do in high school?
I do really good. I have good grades.
You do really well.
I do really well. I try.
I have a report card from when she left.
We don't need you to do any negatives.
Okay, I just sort of...
Listen to me. Is he in school?
No, he's not.
How old is he?
22.
Do you have the ability to do better in school?
Yes, ma'am.
It's really dumb to hitch your wagon to a star when you're 18 years old, especially when the star isn't such a star. Unless you get an education, it's going to be a struggle your whole life. You want to struggle your whole life?
No, Your Honor.
You know what I'm saying to you?
Yes, ma'am.
You look like you have the potential to do okay. Unless you recognize your potential, you're going to be clawing at life your whole life. I think that taking back this car is probably going to be a terrible burden for you, financially, because you don't have the money for it now, right?
Right.
So you put in $4,000 into the car in the year that you had it, in payments that you made.
Correct.
Let's say you had to rent a car, a basic car, for the year. That would have cost you about $2,000 or $166 a month, basic. So you have the following choice. Either you assume full financial responsibility for this car, or I'm prepared to award you half of what you're requesting, which is $2,000, which might give you an opportunity of going and finding a good second-hand car that wouldn't give you any further payments. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
And then Ms. Neely and your father can go and sell this car. If they make a profit, fine. If they don't, fine. You think that's a smarter idea for you?
Yes, I do, because I don't know what they've done. I'm not sure what they've done to the car since I haven't had it.
Well, I don't think they've purposely done anything. They're trying to sell it. All right. You can't anticipate a breach of a contract. You had an agreement with this young lady, and she fulfilled her end of the agreement. She used the car for a year, over a year. She understands that that's wear and tear on the car. I'm awarding her $2,000. Be smart. Buy wheels so that you can get yourself to and from school and to and from a part-time job. Do well in school. Think a little higher than what you know. You know, think a little higher. Think, can I reach my potential, and what is that?
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You don't have any children, do you?
Oh, no.
Right?
Right.
Right?
Right.
And you don't plan on any for a while, right?
No, ma'am.
Very smart. Make sure. Judgment for the plaintiff for the amount of $2,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Ma'am, wait.
Homemaker Shelley Krantz is suing her ex-husband, 26-year-old construction worker Thomas Lupersbeck, for 2 separate loans to pay court fines and restitution. Thomas says Shelley has already been paid back.
Yes, this is case number 454 on the calendar in the matter of Krantz versus Lupersbeck. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
Ms. Krantz, this is your former husband, and according to your complaint, subsequent to your divorce, you made 2 loans to him.
Yes, ma'am.
Both were for court fines or tickets or whatever.
Yes, ma'am.
And neither of those loans have been repaid.
No, ma'am.
The defendant says that you did, in fact, advance him the money in form of a loan, and he paid you back. And he says that the second chunk of money that you gave him to pay tickets or something so that he could get his license back was just a gift, and he is also prepared to establish that. So, when were you married and when were you divorced, Ms. Kranz?
We were married on October the 10th of 2003.
And when were you divorced?
The divorce papers are stated April the 27th of 2004.
And when was the first loan?
June the 21st of 2004. And I do have where he signed a note that he would pay me back the money.
Okay, I'd like to see it.
Okay. Also attached with that is the way that I proceeded to get the money. He was in jail at the time for not paying fines and restitutions.
Just a second. One second. Shh. Okay, were you in jail in June of 2004?
Most definitely.
When did you get out of jail?
Like the beginning of July. She came and posted a bond for me. It was a $2,200 cash bond.
And you signed this that you owe her $23.33.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
With regard to that, you say you paid her back.
Yes, ma'am.
How come you called your former wife for the money? You were divorced?
We were planning on trying to work things out. We've been talking on the phone while I was in jail. I would have been there probably 4 years if I had not made that bond. She was pretty much the only person I knew that would help me.
Okay. So you were pretty desperate.
It was probably more than desperate. I mean, I wanted to be with her and wanted to, be a family again. But I mean, yeah, she was the only place.
What were you in jail for, sir?
I had stolen some things, and I had violated my probation for that by not paying my fines and court costs and all that.
Now, show me, Mr. Lubersbeck, that you paid her back.
What I have is my check stubs that my bosses wrote me for that period of time, and I have my supervisor at the job that was there on 2 occasions. She came and personally got my check. I signed it and she got it. And then when I went back to jail, she picked up my last paycheck, and he can testify that he was there and saw that.
Your Honor, I will state that when we were together, he would contribute to bills, but certainly never repaying any of the money that I had loaned him.
Did you ever go and get money from his supervisor?
There was one occasion where I picked up a paycheck. After he had went to jail in August, I picked up an $84 paycheck from his job. He
Only one paycheck?
Yes, ma'am.
It's the only time you went?
Yes, ma'am.
Step up. Tell me your name.
Nebo Shakovacevic.
What kind of work do you do?
Construction.
Were you his supervisor?
Yes, at that time.
Tell me what you know about these paychecks.
I know at 2 occasions that she came on Fridays and he signed the checks, the paychecks, and gave it to her. And the last, when he went to jail, the last paycheck, my brother gave it out to her because he called from jail and told me to give her the last check.
Now, what about the 2 other times that you say you saw him?
Yes, I saw him sign the paycheck and hand it to her.
Where were you living at the time, sir?
When I got the loan, I got out of jail, moved directly in with Ms. Krantz.
How long did you live with her?
It was not very long.
Tell me how long. When did you get out of jail? You got out of jail
it was
in
a month at the longest.
July?
Yes, ma'am, and in August I was back in jail, so it was about 3 weeks.
I made the loan for him on June the 21st. I paid his fines and restitutions to get him out of jail. He could not get out of jail until they were paid.
He was
the very
not,
next
just
day,
a second, he was not living with you at the time?
No, ma'am, he was in jail.
Okay, so then he got out of jail.
And he was arrested for domestic assault the very next day.
On who?
On me.
How long did he live with you after that?
From the time that I made the loan to him to the time that he moved out of my home completely was, I say, about a month, maybe.
And how much money do you claim you gave her, sir, in your paychecks?
Ma'am, since I've known her...
No, I don't care since you know her. I'm talking about for that 1 month.
Every dime it says I made. Since I've known her, I've signed every paycheck I've ever made, and she has deposited in her account.
Listen to me. You're not following what I'm saying to you.
$2,308. And after I was arrested for domestic assault, my boss came and bonded me out, and I went and stayed with him.
Did he sign his checks over to you, and did they go into a joint account?
No, ma'am. I had my own personal private account. Thomas never was on my account. He was not able to be on my account.
No, that's not what I asked.
Okay. No, ma'am, he did not. No.
What kind of work do you do?
I am a stay-at-home mother. I have a special education child, and I stay at home.
Well, who supports your family?
I get a Social Security check for my son's disability, and I also get alimony from my first 13-year marriage.
Okay. Let me hear about the next loan that you allegedly made to him.
Mr. Luperspeck got out of jail December the 13th of 2004.
Was that for domestic violence?
It was for a probation violation because of the domestic violence.
Against her?
Correct.
Go ahead.
Mr. Luperspeck got out of jail on December the 13th, in which he called me, stated that he had nowhere to stay, nowhere to go. He wanted to come back home. I allowed that to happen. I know that he owed me money from before. I figured if I didn't let him come back home and help him.
Don't even say that. You said that in your complaint.
Well, it was.
I don't believe it. When he came back home, did he sleep with you in your bed?
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, it was.
Shut! That's not to give him a place to stay. Giving him a place to stay is that he has a pillow and you go sleep on the couch. Letting him come home and share your bed is a totally different thing, Miss Krantz. You know it and I know it.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
I was just in love, and I was
Well,
foolish.
then you have to say that, you know. I mean, that's clear. You were in love with him?
And I was foolish.
Well, then why are you bothering me?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
My daughter was not with me. She had chose to live with her father.
Is she back now?
No, we are just now establishing our relationship together.
It's what happens when you fall in love with a bum.
And later today,
I was trying to get out of the vacation because I didn't want to be around any negative influences where I know that things are going on.
So why did you go?
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Shelley Krantz says her ex-husband, Thomas Lupersbeck, owes for 2 loans to pay court fines and restitution. Shelley also says Thomas is an abuser.
Okay, you were foolish, you were in love, you gave him money.
I did.
Then you had a fight, and he probably knocked you around, and you had him incarcerated, and then he was violated again, and then as soon as he got out of jail, you let him come back again in December to your home where you have children, where children are supposed to be peaceful and live in a peaceful, quiet environment.
At that time, my daughter was not with me. She had chose to live with her father because of the things that had happened between Mr. Lupersbeck and I.
Is she back now?
No, we are just now establishing our relationship together.
Well, that's what happens. It's what happens when you fall in love with a bum. Fall in love with a bum, you can lose your whole family.
I realize that.
That would be you.
No, it wouldn't.
You may have a seat, sir. Yeah,
Sure.
That would be you.
Ma'am, I've worked every day since I've met this lady, and I was sleeping in my car before we were married and giving her my paycheck. I don't consider that being a bum so that her and her family can eat.
Just a second, sir. How did she get involved with the arrest that brought you 2 probation violations? Who'd you steal from her?
No, sir, ma'am. It was an employer that was refusing to pay me.
You mean an employer that was refusing to pay you? A judge wouldn't listen to you when you were trying to get your money from that employer? Look at you, Mr. Lupersbeck. You can't even keep a straight face.
I didn't even try to go through a court. I just took what I felt he owed me.
Did that ever happen before, Mr. Lupersbeck?
No, ma'am.
Never were arrested before?
Yes, ma'am.
She didn't have anything to do with that, did she?
Not that I know of.
Okay. So how many times in total, I want you to think? How old are you?
26.
26. So you haven't had that long a life. How many times have you been arrested? Let's say more than 5?
15.
15. So you've been arrested 15 times. And how many times was she involved?
Twice.
Twice out of 50. So 13 times she was not. That makes you a bum.
Sure.
Just because you try to pay your own way and pay a little rent money doesn't make you not a bum. Somebody who's 26 years old has been arrested 15 times is a bum. That's what my grandmother would say.
She's entitled to her opinion.
It's my opinion's the only one who counts here.
Your Honor,
Listen to me, Ms. Krantz. Give me the second loan. He came out of jail in December of 2004. You took him back home. I assume it was at that point your daughter went to your ex-husband or before?
No, ma'am, that was in June.
In June of 2004?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, so she had enough of him 6 months before.
Yes, ma'am.
So now let's fast forward to December 2004. Go ahead.
He came home. He was placed on intensive state probation. Part of his probation was that he was to get his license back and retain a job. So he asked if I would help him get his license reinstated. He promised me several times that if I paid this for him, that he would pay me back. He informed me that there were 2 tickets that he had to get paid.
All right, so you gave him how much, $800?
It was over $800.
All right, and then what happened after the 15th?
Shortly thereafter, we began to argue. Thomas still had a problem finding a job.
And?
We began to argue because he wouldn't get a job and he wouldn't pay me back the money that he owed me. Is
that what you were arguing about?
We were arguing because that's what we do. I guess that was one of the topics of conversation, sure.
Your Honor.
And what did you say to her?
I went and sat in the living room on the chair, and when the argument continued, I left.
What was she saying to you?
After about the first 10 minutes, I don't even know. I wasn't listening.
Is it possible she was saying to you, you have to get a job because you have to pay me back the money you owe me?
She did say that, and that's something that we already knew, but it was wintertime. I frame houses for a living, and framing jobs aren't so easy to find in the wintertime.
Well, this makes my life much easier, because you see what you just said, Mr. Lubespec? You said that's what we were arguing about, you know, about the money that I owed her. But, you know, it's not so easy in the wintertime to get a job framing, and that's what I do for a living. So you know what that is, Mr. Lubespec?
What is it?
That is an acknowledgement that you owe her money.
Your Honor.
Shut!
Sorry.
That's what it is. You must have been before a lot of dumb judges in your time, sir.
Not that I know of.
Somebody who's been arrested and probably convicted more than half a dozen times, as far as I'm concerned, should probably be in jail forever. Listen to me carefully, sir. Did you give him a W-2 for his taxes?
Your Honor, it's a different form.
It's a different
1099.
Okay, so you gave him a 1099.
Yes, he's got that.
You have a short time to fill out your taxes, sir.
Correct, ma'am. April 15th.
Right. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,195, which is the amount requested. I don't believe, Mr. Lubespec, that you paid back this loan. Your final statement to me indicates that the last argument that you had with the plaintiff was over this loan. You decided to tune her out on the 15th of December. I tune you out now. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
We can't communicate because both of us are hard-headed and didn't want to listen to the other one.
I'm just very hurt that I gave the defendant so many chances and tried to help him so much, and he still denied the fact that he owed me the money.
I love her very much.
I care about him, but I think I'm going to make smarter decisions from now on.
And now the next case. Mechanic Orlando Aristizabal is suing 24-year-old electronic technician James Morales for skipping out on a bill. James is countersuing, claiming Orlando tried to keep him from leaving, damaging his car in the process.
Now, this is case number 443 on the calendar in the matter of Aristizabal versus Morales. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir. Have a seat, ma'am, please.
Mr. Aristizabal, what kind of a business do you have, sir?
Do an auto repair business, ma'am?
According to your complaint, Mr. Morales came into your shop to have his car fixed. You did a diagnostic workup on his car, told him he needed transmission to be done.
Yes.
He decided at some point that he didn't want you to do the work on his car, and he went to leave. You told him he couldn't leave until he paid you for the diagnostic work, which was $85.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, at some point, and you're going to tell me how this happened, he tried to leave. You tried to stop him. Tried to stop him by having one of your employees close a gate. He plowed through, damaged your property and a sign. You want him to pay for all that damage. Mr. Morales says that you had no right to try to restrain him,
Correct.
that you did no work on the car, that when your gate closed on his car, you caused damage to his car, and he is counterclaiming.
Correct.
What day did Mr. Morales come into your shop?
On 11/16, Mr. Morales came. I do have an exhibit.
What time did he come, sir?
4 o'clock, 4:30.
And what time does your shop close, sir?
6 o'clock, Your Honor.
Did Mr. Morales have an appointment, or did he come in
No, he walked
without
in.
an appointment?
He walked into my shop by a friend. He was recommended by a friend of his.
Had he had work done by Mr. Aristizabal himself?
No, Your Honor.
So why did he make this recommendation to you?
He said to me that this was his uncle's shop and that he'd give me a good price, an estimated price on rebuilding my transmission for
Is that what you needed, a rebuilt transmission?
Yes, Your Honor.
How did you know that you needed a rebuilt transmission, Mr. Morales?
I had went the day before to another mechanic shop, and I have the receipt here. It shows that I paid for diagnostics, and it states there that my transmission needed to be rebuilt.
Now, when you came into Mr. Aristobal's shop, sir, did you tell him you needed to rebuild the transmission?
Yes, I did, Your Honor. Well, actually, when I first got there, he wasn't there. He showed up about 45 minutes later.
So at that point, it was between 4:45 and 5:30.
Yeah, about 5:30, when I finally got in contact with him around that time. He showed up. He asked me...
Who's Giovanni?
He was Giovanni at the time. He stated his name was Giovanni. He asked me what was the problem with the car. I stated my transmission needed to be rebuilt. He asked me, how do I know? I told him because I had another diagnostics done. So he then got in the car and test drove the vehicle.
How did he test drive the vehicle, sir?
He drove it up to the garage door, and then he also reversed it back. He opened the hood. He looked in it. The vehicle was on the whole time, and then that was basically all he did. He asked me, follow me into my office. He asked me for my information.
May I see the piece of paper that you have, sir? Is that the information that you filled out when you came in?
Yes, this is exactly information exactly as to what happened.
Okay. Is this the piece of paper that you filled out while Mr. Morales was sitting in your office?
There is 4 copies, Your Honor, just to refresh you. There's 4 copies at the beginning of the estimate. That was the final estimate, what it says, everything that I found with the vehicle, everything that said. He also asked me
You're not answering my question, sir.
That's the piece of paper that he filled up, yes, Your Honor. And he got an estimate of that.
No. Mr. Morales did not sign this document that you have handed to me.
Yes, he did.
No. He did not sign this as it is written here. You filled this out after he left. So I want to see what he signed when he was there, not after you wrote everything that you wanted to write on this document about what happened later.
I gave him a copy where it says computer diagnosis, aBest not working, to check and advice. $85 on the top of it, as you can see. The final invoice,
This invoice is meaningless to me, sir. So then let's get over this, because we're not going to waste any more time. We're not going to waste any more time.
Fine, Your Honor.
Tell me what you did with the car, Mr. Aristobal.
When it came off of the car, I did the diagnosis. I put it what is called a Morris.
Tell me what you did.
I want to know.
Listen to me.
Would you please let me describe, Your Honor?
No, I want you to answer my question, Mr. Aristobal.
I final invoice did. I told him exactly what it was wrong at 5:30. He said he was going to take it somewhere else to have it repaired somewhere else. He wasn't going to do it. Then I asked him, he must repair. He must pay me for the diagnosis that I had done.
I didn't hear anybody doing a diagnostic, sir. Just because you wrote diagnosis doesn't mean you did anything. Now, you want to tell me exactly what you did or produce an employee who performed any work on the car.
It says right there on the invoice, Your Honor.
Mr. Aristobal, that's what the whole dispute is about. Mr. Morales says you didn't do any work on his car.
So he signed an invoice saying to have the car diagnosed.
This invoice, sir, is worthless. You wrote this invoice after the whole incident happened.
Did you see that I did it after, Your Honor?
Sir, you can't produce something.
I am producing. That's the honestly true, Your Honor.
Mr. Aristobal.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
We started arguing. He was, being loud. I got loud also.
He was a little bit high on drugs, I will imagine, because he was very,
This man was not high on drugs.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Mechanic Orlando Aristizabal says customer James Morales owes for skipping out on a bill. James says Orlando didn't perform any work on his car.
Who is this person?
That is a customer that happened to be there when he damaged his car, and he's here to testify. He damaged the car with the...
So this is a witness that you brought. Did you bring a witness who did any work on Mr. Morales' car?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Now, did anybody else take your car away from you and put it up on a lift or a machine?
No, Your Honor.
When you told him that you weren't going to do the job, what happened?
Well, what happened was, from after he drove the vehicle, we got off the car, we went into his office. He asked me for my information. I signed the form. He said that he was going to call me the next day to let me know exactly how much it was going to cost, that it was mandatory for his company to do a diagnostics. So after all, I agreed with it. I said, fine, you know, fine. I agreed with it. I left the premises.
What made you change your mind, sir?
Overall, the car is in my name. It's my car, but that's my wife's vehicle. I have a 99 Tahoe, my truck, which I drive to work and back. She uses the Infiniti to go to work and do her errands. The car that was getting fixed was coming out of her money. She said no. She decided not to. She told me, well, we're wasting our money if we're throwing our money out the window to get another diagnostics done if we just got one done yesterday. So from there...
So you went back inside to get your car?
Right. When I went back to the premises, we pulled into the vehicle. She pulled in where the gate line is, right on the premises line, where the gate would close, and she stopped. I got off the vehicle, I walked up to the garage, I seen my vehicle still in the same place, the key still in the ignition, the hood was still open, the door was open, and I looked for Mr. Giovanni, which he told me his name was at the time. I went into the office, I did not see him. I came out of the office, he came out of the back, he appeared out of the back. I then told him, we're not gonna leave the car with you after all, I'm gonna go ahead and take my car. He told me, well, you can go ahead and take the car, but you have to pay me my diagnostics, my $85 for the work that was done. I told him what work. I told him there was no wires connected to my car. I see no computer next to my car. I see no mechanic next to my car. I see no tools. The car was not on a hoist. It was not moved. So therefore, I felt that there was no work rendered to my vehicle, and I told him that I was not going to pay him.
Did you see his car on a lift, sir?
No.
Did you see any wires attached to his car being diagnosed?
Well, I was only there for like 5 minutes.
The answer is no.
No.
Go ahead.
So from that point, I told him I told him that I wasn't gonna pay him. We started arguing. He was you know, being loud. I got loud also, and from there I had my wife and my daughter in my truck waiting for me. I didn't want to argue with him, so I gave him the paper back. I shook his hand and I told him, look, Mr. Giovanni, if you feel I owe you, you have all my information.
Sue me.
You call me, you sue me, you do whatever you have to do. I'm taking my car.
Does that sound familiar, Mr. Aristobal?
I saw him after he came back. He wanted to leave. I told him he must pay for the diagnosis, which had been authorized.
And he said, I'm not paying for it.
He said he's not paying for it. I can call the police. He was a little bit high on drugs, I will imagine, because he was very,
This man was not high on drugs. This man was not high on drugs. Listen to me, sir. Mr. Aristobal, put the pictures down, sir. How did you stop him? Because according to your complaint, you said you tried to stop him. How did you try to stop him, sir?
I don't need to stop him. I did not. So help me God, Your Honor. I did not stop him. He left, taking my gate out of it and my dumpster, here in the dumpster, and here is the pictures of it.
Step up. You were a customer?
Yes, ma'am.
How long have you been a customer there?
For like 1 year.
You saw this incident happen?
Yeah, I only saw when he left.
Did one of Mr. Aristobal's employees close the gate?
No, ma'am.
Was it closed?
No, it was open. It was open like a car's distance.
And so describe to me what happened, sir.
Well, the young man got in his car and he just, like, bailed out fast, like he was stealing the car. He was, like, scared for some reason. He just left real fast and he hit the dumpster and the gate.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. From that time, when I paid it, I told him I wasn't going to pay the $85, I gave him the receipt back, because when I left, he gave me a receipt. And I told him, I'm not going to pay you. I was already backing up. He then asked me, look, at least pay me $45 for my labor fee. I then replied to him, I'm not going to pay you anything. I continued to back up. He started yelling at his there was about maybe 10 employees there. And if I may say, Your Honor, he was also an employee here. The witness is also an employee. If you notice his hands, they are greasy.
Do you work for him? Do you do part-time work for him?
I don't work for him. I paint cars. He has a mechanic shop.
What were you doing there that day, sir?
He was fixing one of my cars.
Fixing one of your personal cars or your business cars?
No, one of my cars.
Your
that
Honor,
I'm going to sell. Yeah, I try to get cars fixed so I can sell them.
Sit down. Go ahead.
From there, he yelled at his employees, don't let him leave, don't let him leave. I'm calling the police, don't let him leave. Well, my wife was still parked in the same place, if I can point out. She was parked here, right on the gate where the gate closes. And one of the employees started closing the gate on her vehicle. My daughter was in the car on the passenger side, behind the passenger back seat, and where the gate was closing onto. My wife then exits the vehicle and asks Giovanni, what's going on? What's going on? Giovanni replies, he's trying to steal my money. He needs to pay me. You guys need to pay me my money. She got in the vehicle. She backed up. She got onto the street. I then continued to back up. When they closed the gate on me, when it hit my vehicle, if you can see, if I can present some pictures to you. If you notice where the red arrow is, that's where I came to a complete stop at the dent that it made.
I want to see all the pictures, Berg. There's Mr. Aristobal's also, please.
This is the customer's car.
So what's this?
The car was scraped from the front all the way, from the back all the way to the front, from the yellow fence. If you can notice the yellow paint on the fence.
If you look, Your Honor, on the tire on the driver's side, on the first tire, you would see that the trash can was actually pushed onto
the car.
On the driver's side.
You see the blue paint from the picture.
And both of the mirrors were knocked off.
Did you see who did that?
I couldn't really identify who did it. However, I know the male who was closing the gate was a white, tall, Caucasian male. And I told him, what's going on here? Because he's closing the gate on the side my 2-year-old is sitting on in her car seat. He says, I'm just doing my job. I'm just doing my job. Mr. Giovanni at the time, who had presented himself as Giovanni, was instructing his workers in Spanish that by no means let us out. Mr. Giovanni at that time said that he was going to call the cops. However, Cop Ernst did call the dispatching group to see if any call was dispatched from that location, and it was a negative.
Who's Giovanni?
This is, I named my shop after my son.
When somebody comes in and asks for Giovanni, your name is Orlando.
I am Giovanni's DBA-S. Yes, Your Honor, that is true. I'm Orlando DBA-S Giovanni's. That's how my fictitious name is.
You have estimates on your car?
Yes, we do, Your Honor. We have an estimate that was done a couple of days after the incident.
The next day.
The next day.
Which is the 17th. It's also dated.
Do either of you have a police report?
Yes, we do.
We have a copy of the preliminary police report that was filed that day.
If I may,
do you have a copy of a police report that you filed, Mr. Aristobal?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'd like to see it, please.
If I may, Your Honor.
Shh. Okay. No. What year car is this?
It's a 1993 Infiniti G20.
Well, the cost of painting it is $3,000. It's
Right.
worth more than the car.
Exactly.
Right. You paint cars, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
How much do you charge for a really good paint job?
It varies from $2,500 to $500.
And what about to take out all the dents on a car?
Depends how many, what kind of dents.
Here you go. It's not often that I have an expert witness that I can question. You can stand up, sir.
It could be fixed without changing any parts.
Great. How much could you fix it for, sir?
I can fix this probably for $1,500.
You know what I find interesting, Mr. Aristobal? That Mr. and Mrs. Morales filed their police report the date of this incident, the 16th.
Right after.
You didn't bother to file yours until the next day.
When I went there, they told me I won't be able to file the same day because simply they have filled out one. And when I got there at the Foothill Police Division, they told me I must wait until next day so I can file a report. And I went back.
Are you telling me that a police officer said you couldn't give your version of the events on the same day?
Yes, because it was one taken already. Yes, Your Honor, that's
but the next day it was okay for them to take it.
Well, I went over it again.
So what you're telling me is the next day they said...
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Aristobal, you did the wrong thing, sir. There was a dispute. Whether you were right or wrong with regard to the dispute, you had an option. And your option was to let this gentleman and his wife leave.
I did.
And no, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't. To let this gentleman and his wife leave, causing no problem, deciding to sue him. You had his name and address. You felt as if he owed you $85. That's what you do. You said, no, I'm calling the police. The truth of the matter is, if you had called the police at that very moment, Mr. Aristobal, you would have been the first one filing the police report. You didn't call the police at all.
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Not that day you didn't, sir.
So help me God.
No, you didn't, sir. Because then you would have filed the police report before them, and if I listened to your logic, when they came out speaking, then when they came in, the police would have said to them, you can't file a report today, Mr. Aristobal already did. You have to come back tomorrow and file your report. I know exactly what happened. You don't have to be a genius to figure out what happened. There is no indication whatsoever by you or any witness that any work was done on Mr. and Mrs. Morales' car. You were annoyed that they weren't leaving the car. You told your employees to close the gate because you weren't going to let him take the car. You frightened his wife by your actions, and you're going to pay for his car.
And my daughter.
And he's not going to pay for any damage that he did to your gate or your dumpster because he had no right to try to keep him inside, which you did. You have recourse. This is not the Wild West. Judgment for the defendant in the amount of $1,700. You can have your car fixed for that amount. Otherwise, you'll have to total it.
Thank you.
That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused, Mr.
20-year-old Amy Jimenez is suing her ex-boyfriend, 21-year-old customer service rep Ronnie Brooks, for damages due to an assault. Amy claims Ronnie kicked her car and then broke her cell phone when she tried to call 911.
Hello? It's hard to train them. Your Honor, this is case number 457 in the matter of Jimenez versus Brooks. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat.
My money's on you.
Okay.
Ms. Jimenez, this used to be your boyfriend. You claim he has a bad temper, and while you were in the midst of an argument, he kicked your car and then body slammed you on your car, causing damage to your car.
Yeah.
Now you're suing him for damage to the car, but not damage necessarily to your body, which causes me some pause, because to me, if somebody took me and threw me against a car, I would sue him for hurting me, but I guess your car is important. And also, you say in another fit of rage, he broke your cell phone.
Yeah.
Mr. Brooks says, well, he did in fact break the cell phone.
Yes, ma'am.
But he says with regard to the car, you were trying to run him down, and he merely tried to protect himself by trying to hold back 3,000 pounds with his foot. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When did this incident happen with your car, Miss Jimenez?
October 7th.
Where were you?
We were at my house.
How long had you been at your house?
About 3 minutes. We'd gotten into an argument right as we pulled up.
He was in your car?
He'd gotten out of the car and I was still in the car. And we'd gotten into an argument and I didn't want to get out of the car. I didn't want him to go into my house. So I told him I was going to take him home.
He was coming to your house for what?
To take a shower.
Why? He doesn't have a shower?
His shower didn't have a shower curtain, and I guess he liked my shower better.
His shower didn't have a shower curtain?
Yeah.
How do you do that, sir?
Oh, we just took baths.
You just took baths in your house?
Yeah.
Why don't you buy a shower curtain?
Lazy, I guess.
How long have you lived in this house without a shower curtain?
It was like 2 months.
2 months without a shower curtain?
Yes, ma'am.
Who lives there?
Well, it was just me and my brother at the time.
Did you used to live with your mother?
Yes, ma'am.
And your father?
Yes, ma'am.
Did they have a shower curtain?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So he was coming to your house to take a shower because he got tired of taking baths at his house.
Yeah.
Probably got tired because if he didn't have a shower curtain and only took baths, I guarantee you that he didn't clean the bathtub.
That's not true.
That is true.
She's lying.
No. Anybody that doesn't have time to buy a shower curtain doesn't have time to rub-a-dub-dub scrubbing out the bathtub. Anyway, okay. So you picked him up to take him to your house to take a shower. You got into an argument in the car. He got out of the car. You didn't want to get out of the car. You wanted to drive him home.
Yeah. Somehow my roommate got involved into this argument, and he went up to the house to confront my roommate, and he assaulted my roommate. And then after that, he came back out, assaulted me, and then...
Well, tell me how he assaulted you.
He pushed me to the ground and kicked me in the leg.
What was the fight about?
That he used me.
Used you?
Yeah.
Used you for what?
Well, he didn't have a car, you know, he didn't have very much money, and I was pretty much there for him.
Okay. So he threw you down on the ground and he kicked you twice. Go ahead.
He continued to follow me around, so I went and got in my car, and he continued to yell at me while I was in my car, and then he started...
What was he yelling? I
wasn't paying attention. I was just too disturbed by what he'd just done to me. And so I just sat in my car, and he kicked the hood, and then he kicked the side panel twice. And I have pictures here of the damages that he did.
That's not true, Your Honor. This didn't happen at her house. This happened at my house.
That's not true. She was telling the truth. She picked you up from your house without a shower curtain and took you to her house that did have a shower curtain to take a shower.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you go into the house and take a shower?
No, I had got into a fight with her roommate.
Okay, about what?
Because he said that I was using her. So I went up to the door, and I asked him if he said something, and he said he did. So he was walking away, and I kept following him, and then I hit him.
You hit him?
Yeah.
What are you, nuts?
No, ma'am.
Where did you hit him?
Well, I didn't really hit him. I kind of put, he was,
You hit him
as
in
he
the
was,
head.
shh, she's lying.
No, look, just a minute. You just said you hit him.
Well, I pushed him in the back of his head as he was walking away, you know, kind of like that.
Not true.
Yeah, it is. And after that, we went into the backyard. We argued for a minute.
Who argued?
Me and him.
Well, I certainly would argue with you. I'd probably call the police. And then you got back into the car?
And she took me home.
So what happened when you got home?
Well, we got home. We were going to go out that night. I said I didn't want to go to the club she wanted to go, so she got mad. She was in her brother's car at the time. She thought I stole her keys. She kept coming over there after she went home from the club. My witness is right here. Okay, she was cussing, just ran into my house, didn't knock or anything, just walked in. We're in there chilling, you know. She said, "Where are my keys? Where are my keys?" I said, "I don't have your keys." She leaves and comes back, leaves and comes back. She does this like 3 times, okay? Finally, she comes back with her car. And she said, "Where's my keys? Where are my keys?" She's drunk, by the way. I said, "Dude, you're stupid. If I have your keys, how are you in your car?" Okay, so I had to...
That's right. She said, "Dude, you're stupid." Is that what you said?
That's exactly what I said. So I had to physically take her out of my house to put her in the car. Okay, as I did that, she was backing up. She backed up like this, and then she went forward like she was going to hit me. And I kicked the car. I did kick the car, but she was trying to hit me.
But she wasn't in the car when she did that.
Yeah,
That was my brother's car. That was not my car.
I had put her in the car.
You would put her in the car?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Brooks, how long was Miss Jimenez your girlfriend?
2.5, 3 months, maybe.
Did you like her?
Yeah.
Why would you put her in her car if she was drunk?
Because she wouldn't get out of my house.
Weren't you concerned that maybe she would hurt herself driving around drunk in the car?
Yes, ma'am, but she does that all the time anyway. She always drives around drunk. Every time we go to the club, we're both drunk and she drives.
That makes you Dumb and Dumber. If you get into the car with somebody who's driving while they're intoxicated, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, why are you so stupid?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I mean, we both drive drunk. I mean, I know how to drive when I'm drunk. I don't know.
You don't have any children or anything, do you?
Well, I do have a daughter.
Well, I was going to suggest you not do that. Now, you want to talk to me?
Okay.
Tell me your name.
My name is Derek.
Derek, you have a last name.
Villanueva.
Villanueva.
Yes, ma'am.
Did I pronounce that well?
That's fine.
So if I wasn't so good at pronouncing your last name, we'll just call you Derek.
That's fine.
Derek, were you a witness to this incident that happened on October the 7th?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me where you were, Derek.
I was in Ronnie's house, sitting on the couch, playing the PlayStation.
Everybody's got a PlayStation. PlayStation he has, shower curtain he doesn't have.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The entire world knows that the two of you drive drunk. So if you get behind the wheel and kill somebody, it's not an accident anymore. Do we understand each other?
And later today,
I was violated because I had a dirty pee test because I smoked weed or whatever. And I had to do 3 months, and I got out, had a baby, get out of my mom's
Sounds like
house.
the American dream to me.
Yeah.
Sit down.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Amy Jimenez says her ex-boyfriend, Ronnie Brooks, owes for kicking a dent into her car and for breaking her cell phone. Ronnie says Amy was drunk on the night in question.
Go ahead.
Well, first I heard a noise to the left, and it was a foot coming through the door. That would be her foot. So Ronnie took her to the car. Well, like he said, she tried to run over him whenever she backed up and then came forward, and that's what I had seen. I also saw them yelling at each other, but I didn't see him hit her.
He didn't hit her.
No, ma'am.
Because I read her complaint, and her complaint doesn't say he hit her.
That was because his friends were around that time.
Well, I mean,
his friends weren't around him when you filled out this complaint, madam.
Ma'am, she was also drunk, so, I mean, she doesn't even remember me.
Oh, you kicked her car.
I kicked it, yeah, but she tried to run me over.
Yeah, but you kicked it on the side.
He also slammed me on the hood several times.
I made one dent on that car.
He did only kick it once.
I only kicked it one time.
You kicked it once?
One time.
Very good. Because these pictures were taken 2.5 months later, right?
They were. My father took those pictures because I did not have a camera at the time.
Well, that's too bad. 2.5, almost 3 months later, you don't bring pictures in of a car.
Your Honor, I filed the police report later on, like a month later. I was terrified of
A month later?
He promised me he was going to fix my car, and I was waiting for him to fix it. I went over to his house several times.
Just a second, Mr. Brooks.
Yes, ma'am.
I tend to believe the fact that you kicked her car, and I tend to believe the fact that she was drunk.
Yes, ma'am.
I believe you, because otherwise she would have filed this police report the next day if it happened the way she said it happened. She waited a month, something happened, and I don't know even know whether you saw each other socially during that month. Did you or did you not?
Yes, ma'am. About 2 or 3 weeks afterwards, we did.
Where did you go 2 or 3 weeks afterwards?
She always went to my house after that happened.
I have to go to his house because he doesn't have a car.
You mean after this happened, you went to his house?
His roommate lived with him, and I knew if there was other people around, he wouldn't
Just a
hurt me.
second. I don't care whether his roommate was there or not. You're making this up as you're going along, Miss Jimenez.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are, because if you're terrified of somebody, you don't go to their house. That's not what happens. You stay away from them, whether their roommate is there or not.
I was trying
Now,
to get my car fixed, Your Honor.
Oh, please, give me a break, will you please? Tell me about how you broke her cell phone, sir.
Well, that was at her house whenever I had just got through getting to that confrontation with her roommate. She didn't want to take me home at first, and my clothes were in her car, so I just told her to open her car, and I would walk home. Okay, she didn't want to, so I just grabbed her cell phone and threw it across the parking lot.
And how much did you pay for your cell phone?
She didn't. She got another one free.
Did you get another one free?
Yes, that's what you told me last week.
My friend bought me another cell phone because I couldn't afford to get another cell phone.
Okay. Now, how much do you think it's going to cost to pull out the dents in this car?
For the particular part that I kicked, $400, because she had showed me the estimate. She went to my house and showed me, and I said I'd pay for that.
Perfect. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $480. $400 for the kick to the car and $80 for the cell phone. Stay away from each other. Stay away from him.
Woohoo!